Guys.
Yeah?
What's up?
Hey, man, what's up, man?
Who are you?
Hey. Me? Just a guy.
Oh.
I'm Dane LaPointe. Who are you?
I'm Jordan Miller.
And I'm Coulter Potter.
Nice to meet you, too. Guys, this is Not So Subtle. 3 boys, 3 mics, 1 dream. That's the new tagline. We're going to say that every time.
Okay.
I'll say it every time. I'll make it a thing.
Be prepared for that every third episode.
3 boys, 3 mics, 1 dream. Remember it, guys. Believe it.
3 podcasts before you hear it again.
It's the rule of 3.
It's there.
Guys, this is Not So Subtle. First and foremost, the best podcast on the internet and the best podcast in the world, probably the universe. I don't know.
It's up there for sure.
I haven't heard any other, podcasts from like aliens or anything.
No one said otherwise, so
I haven't heard anyone dispute any of these claims that we've made, so it has to be the best.
it's true. It's like a scientific theory. If you can say it's true, but then it has to be disproven. No one's disproven it yet.
That's right.
It's fine.
So
It works.
So come at us, guys.
So prove us wrong.
Send us an email. Tell us that we're not the best podcast.
Yeah, someone do it.
On this podcast, we talk about movies, games, pop culture, anime. Not really,
No.
but we should.
I mean, I would like to.
Coulter, we know that your favorite topic here on the podcast is anime.
Mm-hmm. As you can tell, I'm a Japanese.
You're an anime boy.
Yes.
You're
Wait,
a
aficionado.
what is the text on your? What do you
Guys,
say?
This is a
Vape hard.
sweatshirt from Vapor95.com. Check out my affiliate link in the description down below. Not yet. Maybe by the time this comes out.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
So Coulter,
I'm looking fresh.
The resident
Say
anime. I won't say that. No, it looks good.
Oh, okay.
You guys are both rocking cool hoodies.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm
Coulter,
not really rocking much.
What's your favorite anime?
My favorite anime is Cory in the House. Boom.
You knew it
Meme
was,
achieved.
you knew it was coming.
I should have known.
You really should have been prepared for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we talk about all
Sorry.
that, and then also sometimes we talk about crazy stuff that happens in our lives.
Into our dicks.
Just yes, and it just
Our
so happens
genitalia.
that a crazy thing happened to us and to my dick.
Me and my little guy.
Me and my
Your
little pal.
Little bud.
me and my little chief.
little
My
Dane-
little
champ.
Me and my
Dane
little
Jr.
chief champ.
Dane Jr. got in an accident.
He had a little bit of a run-in with a stick.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Jesus.
so-
they have no clue
They don't know
happening.
what they don't know what's happening. Jordan, do you want to tell your story first, or should I tell mine?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so guys, I don't know if anyone listens to this podcast with children. If you are a children's and you're listening to this podcast,
Get out.
Just skip ahead like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Skip ahead, and if you still hear someone talking about a dick, then just keep going.
If you hear the words dick, swab, or optional, continue moving forward.
Right. So let's turn the time. Let's turn the clock back to around 2 weeks ago, because we skipped a week. So we've had some time between the last episode and this episode, for whatever reason. And I was at the doctor's office. Normal checkup, as you do. Just typical stuff. And while I'm there, I'm getting tested for these STDs. It's a normal thing. So I'm there.
We're all adults here.
We're all adults.
Hopefully, all the people listening are too.
and if they're not, if you're a children's, I told you, get out of the room. Skip forward 10 minutes. It's not hard. So I'm at the doctor's office, and I have to do this test. So I get the blood drawn. It's whatever. I also got my flu shot while I was there. Hadn't gotten one of those in years. I know the government is tracking me now. I know that I'm being tracked somewhere.
Sure.
The nanobots.
The nanobots.
The nanobots
have
are in
taken
there.
hold.
So anyway, so I get the flu shot. I get my blood drawn.
By the way, I've never gotten my blood drawn for any reason. Is that weird?
I don't think I had until now.
Really?
I'm trying to think.
What about you, Jors?
I regularly get my blood drawn for medical reasons. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. I might have gotten it drawn once before related to getting the bird flu. I want to say, like to do some like test or something.
H1B1.
H1B1. H1 nerd one,
Wow,
as they called it, the nerd flu.
hey.
They actually did call that. It was really stupid. The Paxpox. Yeah, but so not
Is that what that was? A bird flu?
yeah, like that 2009 or something when I got really sick.
Yeah.
That was H1N1. Mm-hmm. So not fun. But yeah, so haven't gotten my blood drawn that much. I had 5 vials of blood drawn, so that was something. Don't watch it. It's weird. Do you watch it when it happens?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I mean,
Do you take pleasure in it?
No.
It's scary,
Just
dude.
sit there,
It's
stick your
scary.
arm up and just stick the needle in there.
And she
watch
kept
the
just
blood
like it was like nothing to her. She was like,
Yeah.
she just kept changing it out, and it was like, well, this blood's just gonna keep flowing.
They're
She's gonna
very
keep filling
efficient.
it.
It's kind of amazing how when they switch out the little tubes, that blood is just like squirt out of the tube or anything. Like
That
they
was the
somehow,
thing
like, trap it in there.
when she took it out.
Impressive.
I was expecting blood to like fly around the room, like
Just stays in there
some
somehow.
Evil Dead shit, and it wasn't going anywhere. I think it's like science or
It's
something.
science.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then we got to the point where where we had done all of the tests up to this point, and we had one more test to go.
Yeah.
And so, of course, at this point, she presents 2 options. I could either...
Well, first of all, you have to say, okay, sorry, you presented this story in a different way to us, and I felt like it was funnier that way. So
Okay,
one of the
so-
options, we'll just say,
Okay, so we'll just say one of the routes that I could have taken was getting a Q-tip, a large Q-tip, a swab, just shoved all the way up my urethrum.
Sure.
I don't know about all the way, but
It's very far up there. It was very far up there.
I can't know, but
I'm
just hoping to God that it's not all the way.
No, so I honestly, like, it might sound a little exaggerated. I won't exaggerate this. It was a long Q-tip. It was a pink Q-tip. And it was like probably like, I want to say it was like this long, like for the video viewers. If you're not watching this, I want to say like 7 to 8 inches. Like it came out of like a
Better not have stuck it more than
not a zip
quarter of the way
not,
in.
not a Ziploc, but it was like a long like plastic bag thing that like she opened up. So it was like a big like package. When I saw it, I was like, are there like multiple things in there? Like is it like a kit that like she does a bunch of stuff and then it's like she prepares it? But no, she just opens it up. She pulls out this Q-tip, and she just shoves it in there, and it goes in, and then like it stops for a second, and I like audibly, I'm just like, oh man, like, oh boy. And then she's like, I know, like sympathetically saying like, oh, I know, like it's bad or whatever. And then she goes further, and like it didn't go the whole length, but it went very far, like very far in there, and it did not feel comfortable.
Sounds like one of the most painful
like
and
it-
uncomfortable
like,
situations to
the
be
whole
in as a
like
person.
length of my dick like felt pain, like tingling, and like just don't ever do this.
damn.
Don't ever do this. Okay, and now the real kicker here is that this was completely optional. I didn't have to do this. I actually had to ask the doctor to do this because she said that she was like, well, oh no, what she said was it's quote unquote optional because she was like, you don't have to do this, but if you have any sort of discharge, like we need to do this. And so this was more of like, I suspected that I might have something, but I didn't have any symptoms, and so I was like, I don't want to, like, I don't need that. Like, I don't need to do that. And she's like, okay, so you can do a urine test. This was at like 8 a.m. in the morning or something like that. Like, I had like the earliest appointment possible. I had literally just woken up and rolled out of bed. I went to the bathroom when I woke up. I had like some like cereal or something. I didn't like drink a lot of water or anything, and I was probably not super hydrated. And so I didn't feel like I had to go to the bathroom. And I also just, at this point, didn't want to be at the doctor's office anymore. It was early. I was tired. I, like, had a bunch of blood drawn. I was not feeling it. So I was like, okay, I don't want to wait to, like, chug a bunch of water and go to the bathroom. So I'll just do the pee swab. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, in my head, I was like, okay, it's just going to be, like, a little, like, shoop, like a little, like, scooper,
scoop,
like a
and
little
you're done.
scooperino. Or something, like just the tip, like a little scoop, and then that's fine. And I was like, this is nothing. Why would people not do this? And
learned
I
out.
was
You learned
I
why
was
no
so
one does
wrong.
that.
I was so wrong.
Mistakes were made.
It was so bad.
God, yeah, that was the thing about it, is that when I was telling my brother about this story, I was thinking like, when I was talking about it, I was like, oh, I was thinking that it would hopefully be at least not as bad as I thought, but it turned out to be as bad as I thought.
If not worse.
Because like I heard about that method when like people were talking about STD testing or whatever. It's like, oh, did you have to have a Q-tip like shoved up your schwang?
It's like, what? Like, that doesn't sound real.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
that's
who would
weird.
do that?
I'm sure it's not as bad as it seems when you're saying that,
Yeah.
but it seems like it's just as bad.
It seems like
It was
it's
pretty
exactly
bad.
what it sounds like.
So it's not like I was like about to pass out in pain or anything like that. Like it's not like it was like the most painful thing I've ever experienced, but it was like that's a sensitive area.
It's a foreign feeling
It's
to your body.
I've
for
never felt that before, and it also like was the weirdest sense. Like I can't describe what it was. It wasn't necessarily like
I'm getting
excruciating
chills
pain,
just
but it was
about
just
this.
like I felt so uncomfortable, and I knew that it was wrong, and I was like,
Yeah.
"This is not supposed to happen. Like this is never supposed to happen."
This is not supposed to happen.
And so it was just terrible. So I recommend that unless you are having symptoms that involved, you needing to get that test, don't ever do that.
Take a pass.
Just don't do that.
Just don't go pee in the
If you
morning.
have to, just go home with the cup that they give you and come back
fine.
later.
We didn't say. Oh wait, you did say the pee thing, right?
Yeah.
That
So I
pee was
did.
the
So
other
I.
option.
So the other option was just a peanut cup, like standard. That's pretty standard at that
Yeah.
point.
You didn't say the kicker, which is that you ended up going pee anyways at the
That's
end of this
right.
whole ordeal.
Yeah, and so I, while I was in the room, after doing the swab, we were like, I forget what I was doing. It was like it was a normal like checkup, so we were doing other stuff, and then I was just like there was like a little like water fountain or whatever, and I was just drinking cups of water, and then by the time we were done, I was like, well, I kind of have to pee now, like, and she had the cup because she brought both the things in, and then I was like, I guess I'll just like go pee also, and she's like, well, I mean. Like,
You already did the deed.
I was
It's
like, you
fine.
already did, like, we already have the swab or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm here.
You're like, no, it's fine.
It's like, it's fine. I already, I'll just do everything so you can have the most accurate test. So, I mean, the accuracy was nice, I guess. But
You're an overachiever, really.
the moral of the story here is that I got a pee swab. I didn't need to. It was extremely uncomfortable.
Lessons learned.
and now we know for sure that you have chlamydia.
That's right. And now, guys, I have chlamydia. I'm HIV positive. I have possibly weeks to live.
That's a
So
shame. So it was worth it then.
You're just sitting there like
Yeah.
crying.
yeah, just like break down. No, everything's good. I wish I didn't have to go through all that to find that out.
Yeah.
That was not good.
Hey, it could have been worse.
It was all a
It's
joke.
true.
You don't have chlamydia, but you did have to have a pee.
But I did have to have a pee swab.
a pee swab.
The pee
Yeah.
swab is real.
No, that was all real.
That was not a joke.
That was all real. That actually happened. Yeah. So
Well, that was an ordeal.
that was.
Yeah, so-
that was quite something.
Yeah, the way he presented it when he first told us was, guys, I had to like get a cotton swab shoved up my penis, and then, oh god, I hate saying penis in this context. It's
I
really
told
gross.
you it's gross.
When it's actually clinical, it's gross. No, but then I was like, oh, okay, I've heard of that. That sounds really bad. And then he was like, yeah, and it was actually optional. And then we all like, what?
You like tried to
Excuse
sneak
me?
it in at the end, like, whoa, hey,
Yeah, like it
whoa.
wasn't weird.
That's not. You can't
'Cause
just
it-
say that.
It's because
It wasn't weird in the situation, but
yeah.
in our minds, it was like, oh, you chose this wholeheartedly.
Like you chose this path, and
I fucked up.
that's what happens.
It's okay, man.
It's all
You
right.
made it.
I can't stress this enough. Don't ever do that unless you absolutely like have no other option.
That-
Yeah.
ugh.
If it's your last chance, Harvey, and that's what you got to do, then you got to do it, and you're gonna do it, and that's fine, and you'll get over it. It lasts like 10 seconds. It wasn't. I mean, it
Worst
felt
10
like
seconds of your
a
life.
lifetime. I'll say that.
Ugh.
But if you have the option, just don't do it.
My body is just like tensing up when you're saying this. I just don't want to even think about
Well,
this
okay,
anymore.
so she was like, the whole process was, it was already awkward, right? Because, like, she was actually really cool. She was a cool doctor. I had never had her before, so it's not like this is someone that I knew, and then all of a sudden, like, they were having to shove this up my dick. It was just, like, some random lady who was really nice, And
It's always better when a stranger does it.
Yeah, and
honestly.
she was like, okay, well, this is not like this isn't gonna be that great. Like she pretty much said she was like, well, that like. I don't know why.
She looked you dead in the eyes and was like, "I'm gonna stick this cotton swab up your dick, and it's gonna hurt. I'm gonna tell you that right now."
She just took it and like I just like pulled down my pants and then like far enough or whatever, and then she like came over and she had it and she opened up the thing and she had the Q-tip and she's like, all right, and then like I don't remember exactly what she said. She was like, all right, here we go, and then she kind of just like gently held it and then just went like this, just like just went in like. And then it was like in there, and I felt it, and I was like, "Oh God, like oh man, that's not good." And then I was kind of like tensing up, like my body was like really, really tense. And then it went further, and then that's when I was just like, "Okay, no." And I was literally like holding my leg, and I was like, and just falling apart. I was like, "Oh!"
Hey, oh.
And then like the actual, like not she didn't like do it agonizingly slow. But, slow enough when she pulled it out. And I was like...
I mean, she doesn't want to yank it.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be like a Beyblade or anything. But yeah, she pulled it out and I was just like, oh, God. And then right immediately afterwards, I just told her, like, wow, that was very unpleasant. It was like, I did not like that. She's like, yeah, no one does or something. She said something to the effect of, like, yeah, no one ever wants to have to do that. It's like, yeah,
can now imagine
I get
why.
that.
I can't imagine doing it to someone. That's just... unacceptable.
Well, it's weird because like, and this is just okay. So people sounding is a thing that people do, right? Like
I was hoping we wouldn't bring this up.
Okay, well,
We already went here.
I'm not gonna like go in depth on it or anything, but like that's a thing that people do. So I thought to myself like, maybe, and I didn't realize that it was like gonna be something that when I saw the Q-tip, I realized, oh man, it's probably gonna be like. That's going to be an ordeal. It's not just going to be like a scooperino because it's not like a small little Q-tip. This was like, an instrument that was meant to like delve deep. And so like when I hear sounding, I'm like, well, that sounds scary as fuck. But like how do doctors know like the angle or like
of the dangle.
The angle of the dangle, or like how do they know like how to do it?
They are taught, I'm sure. I mean,
it's just weird because
you're not the first person.
Oh, I know, but it's just weird because that's such a foreign area, like for everyone. Like
it's
no
been
one knows.
Searched
No one knows
many times
like,
by science. People know for sure. Everything you're saying is.
We know a lot about wieners at this point.
No. I mean like just like normal civilians. Like no one knows like the path of the urethra.
Yeah.
No one knows like.
That's why they went to medical school.
Yeah, I know.
Medical school.
It's weird.
Nice.
Anyway, so that happened.
Yeah, that was a trip.
That seems incredibly unpleasant, and I don't
We
ever want to go through that.
It was very unpleasant.
We got another unpleasant story.
We do.
Yeah.
There's 2 unpleasant stories here.
This week was just a nightmare week for a lot of people, I guess. So I
was fine. I was at home.
You're safe and sound, and we're all better for that.
I mean, I got beat many times in Rocket League, and I was shook.
The emotional damage was
intense. there.
But yeah, so this happened as of this recording, the Saturday before this recording. I was driving home after a night out from Seattle around where we live, and I was on the freeway driving home to my place. I'm going about 65-ish miles per hour on the freeway here. It's average speed. There's not a lot of people out. This is at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Jordan, that's faster than the speed limit.
It's like 5-ish faster. It's within the acceptable range. This is like 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's not that many people out. It's Saturday morning. There's like no one there. But I'm just driving home, middle of the road, listening to music on my phone. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a decent like day. I feel great. Not hungover or anything, Like, this is a great morning. I'm going to get home, just play some video games or something. Mm-hmm. And then out of the corner of my eye to the left, I see a car just sliding across the road in front of me. Mind you, this is on the freeway. I'm just like, oh, this is not going to end well. And they're literally sideways in front of my car. I'm just going to T-bone them at this point. I was like, this is fucked. And I just like slammed on my brakes. Like, I was slowing down beforehand too. I was like, I'm not going to be able to stop in time. And so I just like hit their car on the passenger side. My airbags exploded, went off.
How fast were you going when you hit the car?
I was
40,
not going
30?
60 miles per hour. I was probably going around 40 or 50 miles per hour.
Okay.
Airbags went off. Car is smoking on the inside. I was like, after I hit the car, I was like, holy shit, like, what just happened? I look behind me, like, I was like, oh god, are there any cars coming? No, fortunately, there are no other cars on the road near us at this time. There's a couple people that stopped like next to us. So I pull over. I
Wait, what time of day did you say?
8
this
o'clock
was?
in the morning
8 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
on a Saturday.
On a Saturday, so
not that
yeah,
many
you're
people on
lucky.
the freeway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So I pull over.
Why is a guy drunk at 8 a.m.?
Great question, Coulter. I wish I knew myself. I got out of the car. I was like, walked over to the door. I was like, "Are you all right? Are you okay in there?" They couldn't open their door on their side, which is weird because that's not the side that I hit. So they crawled out of their passenger side. Their
What?
door, yeah, their door is
Which
fucked up.
apparently was.
It like is. I have pictures of it. I could show you guys. But
That's
it's like
weird.
dented in. It's not like crushed, but the car is total at this point. They get out. I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, what just happened right there? Why, like, what was going on?
What happened
you know?
then?
Like, what happened? Like,
What had you
I
done?
don't know. Like, someone like hit me from the side and sideswiped me. And that's why I flew across the road. I was like, all right, I like whatever. Like went and got my insurance. I was like, okay, do you have insurance? And they didn't have insurance. I was like, oh, well, this is gonna turn into a predicament, isn't it? I was
Wow.
like, all right, I'm gonna need to like take a picture like of your ID or something because I need to know who you are after this. And then I was like, I'm gonna call the police. I hope you're okay with that. I didn't care if they were okay with that. I was gonna do it anyways, but someone had already called the police. They got there, and immediately, not sure how the officer knew this, but immediately he talked to the other driver and was like, "Ma'am, can you come over here? I need to like test you for like the DUI test or whatever they're doing, like walk the line, and like, oh, count to 30 and tell me when you're done." And she failed, got arrested, and yeah, luckily we're both okay. But I actually have a little battle scar on my
Yeah, I
hand.
saw that
but,
right when you were talking
Damn.
about it. I was
It's,
like, oh, is that from
How
the
did that
incident?
happen? From the airbag?
the airbag
Yeah.
like hit it. So
That's wild.
it was a wild
I
experience.
always wonder what it would be like for the airbags to go off, but you never.
It
want
wasn't
that to happen.
great. It didn't. It kind of like clipped my face a little bit, but not enough to do any damage. It really just like this is like a friction like heat burn like
Yeah.
from it sliding
It's
across
hot.
my hand. Yeah, like the car is like smoking on the inside when they go off too. So I was like, wow, this is like fucked up. Also, like my horn was just blaring at the end. I was like, God, this is the like
This is
literal
extra.
nightmare. I hate this.
I'm so extra right
I was like,
now.
God, this is just
People
a
know I
tragedy.
exist.
But yeah,
That's the
And,
ultimate
Making my
fear.
presence known.
I like, and my phone was on very low battery as I was driving. I was listening to like Spotify or whatever, and during this time, I was like, okay, I gotta call the cops. I'm gonna call my parents. I looked at my phone. It has 4% battery at this point. I was like, if my phone dies right now, like I'm gonna be fucked. Like this is gonna be terrible. I need
Excuse
to start
me.
to contact
Can
people.
I borrow your phone, person who is drunk?
The person who I wrecked with was like, "Can I use your phone to call?" I was like, "Yeah, like just use it and do whatever." And then when I got it back, it had 3% battery. And then the cop was like talking to us. I was like, I called my family already. I called all these people, but my phone is like about to die. You know, he's like, "Oh, what kind of phone is it?" I was like, "Oh, it's an iPhone." He's like, "Oh, I could charge that up for you in my car." I was like, "Sure, go ahead and do that." So he charged up my phone in his car while we waited. Overall, the
Badass.
pleasant experience with the police officer, but the experience beforehand was a nightmare.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
Had you been in any sort of car crash before?
no, I believe if you listen to one of the earlier episodes, we talked about our
Possibly last one.
and in which I said I've never been in an accident where anything really bad happened.
Jordan, you had one fatal flaw is that you didn't knock on wood.
I didn't knock on. I swear I did, but yeah. So yeah, don't drink and drive. It's simple as that. It'll.
That makes me
It
so
could have been
mad.
much worse. And I told that person that I was like, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I just looked at them. I was like, "This could have been much worse for both of us. Like, we're lucky that no one else is here right now. So
Yeah.
keep that into account."
Yeah,
And then
that's
they got
wild.
arrested. And then actually, I don't know if I
you
told
know-
you guys this,
go ahead.
but on Monday morning, I went to my insurance place to talk to them about my truck or whatever because it was totaled. I think we don't know for sure. It was pretty messed up, but then we went to the tow yard to get some of the stuff out of it. As I was there, the lady who I wrecked with was there also trying to get her car out. I was like, what are the chances that at this point in time she is
Wait,
also
really?
here trying to get her car at the same exact time? Like this
That's strange.
is a mess.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How? I don't want to profile, but how old was this person?
She was 22 years old. I have her ID. Well, I have a picture of her ID.
Doxer.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that, but yeah.
I was gonna ask, do you know exactly like what happened as far as her like swerving or whatever?
Yeah,
Not
because I feel
really.
like she didn't really know herself.
She didn't. I could tell when she got out of the car. Like I think of
probably,
myself
like,
as a cool
asleep.
cucumber, so I was okay. But I got out and went to her. I was like, she's probably gonna be like rattled at some point because she was like sliding across the road and like I hit her car pretty hard.
She's like, sorry.
No, when she got
What's
out, she was just
up?
like no emotion on her face, no like tears. She wasn't crying or anything. She had like no.
She wasn't shook.
She was not shook at all. I was just like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I could tell that she was just out of it, but I didn't realize that she was under the influence of something.
Like maybe she was in shock or something at that
Yeah,
point.
that's what I
Like,
assumed.
that could
but
happen.
I overheard the cop talking to her. He's like, "Okay, are you on any like medications or prescriptions?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm doing something." And then he continued on with the tests and gave her a DUI and other sorts of stuff.
wild.
So it's a wild time.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
What do you
recommend
say
it.
to that? Other than, it's good that you're not dead.
Yeah, I mean that's what my family was just like. "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." Like,
I got a little thing on my hand.
my dad was like, "Oh, I wish you would like."
I got a heat burn.
He's like, "Are you sure you're okay?" I'm like, "I'm good. Nothing happened to me. I'm
I
fine."
heard like if you're in any sort of crash, it's like not a bad idea to like go to the doctor and like
Yeah,
just
that's
make sure.
what, a lot of people have it where it happens that once they're in the crash, like their adrenaline is kind of going or something, so they don't quite feel any after injuries.
Yeah,
but,
for like concussions, whiplash.
yeah, anything like
kind of
that.
thing.
But I was
Shoulders,
I'm
like-
fine. I'm fine now. My hand is fine. So,
A lot of the times I've heard it's like with your arms and the steering
Yeah.
wheel, like stuff like that.
but wouldn't recommend the experience. Don't drink and drive, kids. It's a nightmare situation.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, we talked on, was it the last podcast where we talked about the car stories? And I told the story about Kermit drifting and like
Yeah.
the airbags going off.
I honestly can't remember.
You
It was
never,
either
you
the
never,
last one or the one
you
before.
never want airbags to go off on you.
It's not great.
Like you never want to be on an accident. You never want to be in an accident. You never want to have airbags hit you. You never want to be in a smoking vehicle.
Absolutely.
You don't want any of those to happen ever. You also don't want all this
All
to
three
happen
have happened
at
in
once.
PUBG when Dana's driving.
That's actually how I was so prepared for this incident. I was like, I've seen this happen firsthand before in PUBG.
I've been in enough car accidents while Dane was driving in PUBG. It's fine.
So, yeah, it was a wild time. Not the way I
Yeah,
like to
it's-
start my Saturday mornings, but
Yeah.
I always think like something like that could happen at any time.
it truly can. It's a bit of an eye-opening experience, honestly. So,
I always like think about it because I'm always like, is today the day where some crazy like car thing
I
is
mean,
gonna happen?
that's like literally the thought that crossed my mind. I was just driving, listening to music.
You're like,
and
today is the
I
day.
saw this play out in my head. I saw the car in front of me. I was like, I can't stop. Like, this is not. I am not gonna be able to do it. And just braced for the worst. And luckily, we were both okay. But
Do you ever think about like circumstances playing out? Because like every man thinks about what if like this guy pulls out a knife and comes
Yeah.
at me right now. So like, yeah. Do you ever just have those thoughts like, how would I do, or how would I, be prepared for this to happen? Blah blah.
that happens sometimes. Just those thoughts. Like walking down the street, you're like, what if this dude just goes for me? And it's like, I actually had that thought. Like before this podcast started, we went to 7-Eleven to get a drink, and there's a dude sitting outside asking for money. And while
Yeah,
we were
50 cents.
while we were in the store, I was like, what if I walk out there and then he just like grabs me from like behind or something and tries to like get me? I was like, what would I do?
I actually wasn't really thinking about that time. I usually think about that when like any homeless person is around,
Yeah.
but
I was just like, yeah, what would he do? What would I do?
So do you guys ever have that? This is gonna be really hard to explain, but like when you're thinking of something that could happen, something that has the potential to happen, but then like so a good example would be like you're driving down the street 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning and you think to yourself, wow, what if like a crazy car accident happened right now? Like what if a lady swerved across the road and like I wouldn't know what to do and I would hit her and there'd be this crazy shit and like we'd have to call the cops. And then you think to yourself, well, I mean, if I'm thinking about it, then it won't happen. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, well, I'm thinking about this. That seems way too ridiculous to happen. So there's no way that'll happen. What if you were thinking that and then it did happen?
Yeah, that would be
and it
wild.
threw your logic, like, because whenever I think, that's my way of reassuring myself. I'm like, well, the fact that I'm thinking about something like that crazy happening, there's no way that something that crazy would actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then if it did happen, that would completely throw
would
my
throw your
world,
world, yeah.
just upside down, because then I would realize that no
Yeah.
one's safe.
I mean, again, this should be an eye-opening experience for a lot of people.
I mean, it
all- yeah,
definitely.
pay attention.
all you
it
kids,
definitely
I
is.
hope you listen. Oh
Just
wait,
pay attention, is all I'm saying.
yeah. I was gonna say on that note, the scariest like someone can scare you really bad when you think you may have heard something and then they scare you. Like when you're thinking about, oh, maybe like something scary is gonna happen, and then like right as that thought comes in your brain, it scares you. That's the scariest thing
When
that
you
can
like
happen.
just
Because then you're like, holy shit, it's happening.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that happen where just like either like after I watched like a scary movie or was like playing a game or something, and like my mind just starts wandering and it's nighttime or something. It's like, oh, what did I just see? Like, oh, nothing. And then someone would be like walking. I'm like, oh god, did I actually just see something there?
Yeah.
And then I just end up going down the hole of just freaking myself out.
Yeah.
Going down the hole of terror.
I mean, that's a thing. It's your mind. It's all psychological. Or is it?
It could have been real. I don't know.
You don't know.
The mind is
don't
a
know.
scary place.
We don't know. Don't make fun of me.
The mind is the real monster.
Thought it was man.
Man's
Is it the man or the
Man.
mind?
Man's mind is the real monster.
I'm looking at the man in the mind.
I'm asking him.
Man in the mind.
So,
Alrighty.
yeah.
Well, those were two, I would say, wild tales to start off the podcast.
I would agree.
Jordan, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
And thank you for asking my dick is okay too.
I actually got in a knife fight. This is actually the third story now.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh wow, that's
Huh.
weird. You saved the craziest one for last.
You ever just think about like what happens if I get into a knife fight and then you just do?
Yeah,
It's weird.
That's
how
wild.
that happens all the time.
That's crazy, man.
Huh.
What if you got in a gunfight?
Well, you shouldn't bring a knife.
What if?
Transition alert. Gunfight
What if you got in a gunfight
in Bruges.
Well, that would be really. First of all, getting a gunfight would suck ass. But if you're in Bruges,
It'd be even worse.
oh my god! Don't even get me started. Bruges
Guys,
is awful.
our wacky film of the week was In Bruges. If you've never listened to this podcast before, shame on you and your family. And if you have, then you know that every week we pull a wacky film from the wacky film list. It could be anything. It could be Halloween Town 2: Calabar's Revenge. It could be In Bruges. It could
be a Serbian film.
It could be a Serbian film. It could be
Citizen Kane.
It could be Citizen Kane. It could be Apocalypse Now. You don't know. It could be any one of those.
Well, it can't
Oh.
be some of those because we already picked them.
Yeah, a
That's
couple
right.
of those aren't going to be in there, but
But a few of those were picked and were watched.
Yeah.
So we never know what we're going to pick. It's all random.
It's like a
And-
box of chocolates.
That's right. You never know what you're going to get.
can we put Forrest
Just like
Gump
life.
on the list?
The
We've
movie-
all
that
seen
movie
it.
We've all
sucks.
seen it.
It's kind of a. We never really say this, but it's kind of just a way to see movies that we've never seen that we
It-
kind of want
it
to
is.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
That's-
that we've
that's the
heard
most
a lot
important.
about or something. Or
Yeah. The most important part is that at least one of us hasn't seen it.
right. And we're exposing ourselves to new cinema.
Yeah.
So every week we pull a random movie. Last week, or I guess the week before, last episode, let's say, we pulled In Bruges, and tonight we watched it.
We did.
Culture, what do you think?
Oh, on the spot. Go.
Should we set up what this movie is? Probably.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
So
This was the first film ever created.
right,
It was
this
a
is the
French
oldest. This
film.
is the oldest film. It's
the first
known to
talkie.
man. Apparently, the running joke was that this movie seemed old. I guess, or like.
Well, it's an. We didn't know what it was, and it sounds like an art film because it sounds like a European.
It sounds like,
Like
an
a- yeah.
old ass film, such as the town Bruges is an old medieval ass town.
That's fair.
The
elements
connections
of
are
it were
clear.
correct. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of an artsy movie. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay. So anyway, this movie takes place. Who would have thunk? In Bruges. Two.
Brash Bruges
Two-
Brizzles.
No one will get that joke.
That's correct.
That's
But they'll know something was funny about that.
And
right.
they'll laugh.
So two men are in Bruges, and we come to find out that they are two hitmen awaiting orders from their hitman boss. One of them is a normal, happy-go-lucky man who wants to tour this beautiful town, and the other is curmudgeon who hates being alive.
He's
and
a grump.
is the rudest person.
He's a grumpus and a child.
He's a Grumpelstiltskin, and he acts like a 5-year-old throughout the entire movie.
but he's a conventionally attractive man, so we go along with it.
I
That's
think
right.
Coulter said
Colin
that
Farrell was an attractive man, all right?
the word they used was insufferable, and
That's-
that nails
I
exactly
thought-
what
Yeah,
just,
he's-
there was moments where it's like, oh god, I hate this guy.
Yeah, this guy is very annoying, and just is an overall nuisance to society and
is.
his friend. And it's like dark comedy
Yeah,
slash.
I'd say that's fair.
Someone might call this a comedy.
There was definitely things where it was trying to be funny, for sure.
Yeah, I would say it was just
In a
like
dark way.
black, dark comedy with a little bit of action thrown in there. I would say it's somewhat of an artsy film.
Yeah. Thriller,
It's
I
not,
guess.
I wouldn't call it an art movie,
No,
but
but it has artsy elements.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has more, I would say stylistic, but
It had a very unique and deliberate tone and style to it. What do you guys think? Coulter, Jordan?
Go ahead, Culture.
I actually enjoyed it. In the beginning, I was definitely questioning it the whole time because the tone of it was really weird. It's kind of an original tone to some degree. You don't know exactly what their intent is. Almost throughout the whole movie, you don't really know exactly what the intent is of any given situation. But yeah, I thought Colin Farrell's character was kind of the spot of like badness on an otherwise pretty interesting, entertaining movie. Also, the fact that a lot of the jokes were concerned with race, ability,
Sexual orientation.
and just any other like offensive thing.
Yeah.
Just
Basically-
thrown in there for fun. Just throw in like, something about like black people or like, just offensive remarks like for no reason. Like,
Other
it's
than
just
to
weird.
try to get a laugh, which failed on me every time it happened. Those jokes, I was just like, what? Like, you guys can do better. Like, these are just not like funny jokes at this point. Like, you're I don't know what they were trying to go for with their jokes, but it comes off as tasteless to me.
Yeah, it definitely comes off as that way. I'm not going to say like they were trying to make a straightforward joke to the audience. Like they may have been trying to like expose the like flaws of the characters or something like that. But to me, it came off as, okay, this joke isn't funny at all. And I don't get why you're choosing to, make these type of dumbass jokes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but otherwise, I really enjoyed the plot. Yeah, I didn't really predict where everything was going. And, I'm glad it was a Hitman movie because it inserted like stakes automatically
Yeah.
into a movie that otherwise had like very little stakes. So
Yeah, it was kind of like adding that Hitman element in there when a lot of just like mundane things are happening kind of makes you wonder like it makes you think that the whole time it's just this like tea kettle waiting to blow. Like it's kind of just like boiling up to a point and you're like, something's gonna happen. Like their boss seems pretty angry and like there's a lot of elements that make you think that like it's all gonna come to a head eventually, and it does. I would say it gets pretty wild towards the end.
Yeah, the ending is something special, I thought. But
I thought the whole ending sequence was actually really good. Yeah, Jordan, what are your thoughts?
I'm conflicted about this movie.
I would say I'm right there with you.
Because I can see a world in which this movie was made slightly differently, and I would have loved it.
Yeah,
like
me
it
too.
would have been one of the a really fantastic movie, but it's just drugged down by its like awful jokes. The main character, and I almost, in a way, Colin Farrell's character, like I almost turned on my feelings for him a little bit because they hint at like his like mental psyche like breaking down and like the
how he's,
struggle
like,
that
tortured
yeah,
within
because
the
the start of the movie is that he has killed a child and he's tormented by that
on accident.
yeah, on accident. He's clearly tormented by it, but like, and part of me wants to go, oh, he's doing all these like shitty jokes and being this shitty person because like he doesn't care about himself anymore. And like I want to believe that, but I can't because the shit that he says and does in the beginning and mostly through the whole movie is just like, dude,
Insufferable.
he's insufferable, and it's just like it's so frustrating to see that because if those jokes weren't in there, if he was just done a little bit differently, I would have like enjoyed that character a lot. But he's just insufferable. And that sucks because there are scenes in that movie and just a lot of other things that are really cool, but it's hard for me to enjoy that when I know the stuff that he did beforehand,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But
I definitely thought that once they started showing like his guilt and
Yeah.
like his like the way that he was kind of like, you know, poisoning himself from within with all like the like regret and all that stuff
Yeah.
for what he did, was interesting because it made like you said, like a really awful person seem a little less awful because you could kind of understand why he would be acting that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they delved enough into that.
Yeah, like if they had just taken out the parts with all his like racist, shitty, homophobic jokes and built his character in a way that was like, oh, this man's clearly struggling to like survive or even want to live. I was like, that would have been an interesting story point, but it's not there. They like hint at that at points, and it's like those sequences where you're shown his like actual thoughts are like well done and emotional, but it is hampered by what he does early on.
Yeah.
Which is again a shame because I think that part is really well done, but
Yeah, it's I don't know. I want to believe that because I think what you said, Coulter, was interesting, like how they might have been wanting to show the flaws of the character by having them say all this stuff. Because when you hear like Ralph Fiennes say like some really horrible, like some really bad things to people, you're like, is this like supposed to just make us angry at the character to hate like his? To make us hate this guy because he's a scumbag? Is it supposed to show that he's a scumbag? Like, is it supposed to be funny? And I don't necessarily think it was supposed to be very funny because a lot of those jokes were just overtly racist and homophobic and like not really presented in. I mean, they were kind of presented in a comedic way, but not necessarily for the audience. If that makes sense, like I don't know if the audience. I don't think they were looking for the audience to like laugh out loud at him being like, oh, like, what does he say? He's like something about a gay black 10-year-old or something like that, or like a
a lot of just like
there's a lot
throwaway
of,
like
like-
lines where it's like, oh, here's my gay beer for my gay friend. I'll take a normal beer. It's just like, yo,
like that's weird.
Like, that's
Like,
really rude.
Why are you
It's
saying that?
like-
Yeah,
what the fuck? That's
It's
so
like
mean.
middle school
Yeah.
humor.
yeah.
I wanted to say this before. I was like, there would have been a point in my life where I would have thought this is fucking hilarious, but I realize now I'm like, no, it's like that shit is like it's not funny. Like that's bad.
You
Those are
can't
bad
do that,
jokes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's either I want to just believe that they were doing that to illustrate that these people are kind of just fucked up, like
Yeah.
Ray and
Ken
Ken less.
Ken
so.
is actually not a shitbag.
Ken was
honestly.
actually like a good person.
Yeah.
Like he was a really good person. That's why you felt so bad when shit went down. But Larry, Harry
the
was
boss.
his name. Yeah,
Harry?
the boss.
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah, so
he
there's no
was
H
just
there.
he was just shit.
Yeah.
Like he was just a terrible person. So I don't know. I kind of
Voldemort.
pretty much. I mean, he was just about as evil as Voldemort in this movie. I am just gonna. I kind of just want to go with the fact that they were just trying to illustrate how shitty these people were, and not. They could have done it differently for sure. I don't know why they chose to do it with just blatant,
Yeah.
unfunny, like blunt,
Yeah.
racist and homophobic
That's
jokes.
my main issue is that they could have done all the things that you're saying, but not use those jokes. Like
Yeah, exactly. Like that's
it's
what.
telling that they chose those jokes instead. It's just like you could have done this in a
That's what I mean. Like
less overtly rude, racist.
yeah, and if
way.
they had done that, I think I would like this movie a lot more.
Yeah.
I do like this movie. I think I would say it's a good movie and that I enjoyed it, but more so for like I thought the cinematography was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought all the scenes of even though it was kind of artsy and like it was not slow, but it was a very like methodical pace in the beginning. I thought it was really cool how they were showing shots of the city and like, you know, the streets and giving you that kind of vibe of like this place isn't so bad. Like
Yeah.
why does this guy hate this city so much? And you were kind of seeing it was kind of cool how they filmed the movie almost from the perspective of how Ken was seeing it, because he was like so in love with the city. He wanted to go like do all these tourist like obvious
Yeah.
touristy things and like see all the sights and read about the history and stuff. And when he's talking about it and when they're showing all the scenes, you're like, wow, this is really cool. And then the whole time Colin Farrell's character Ray is just bitching and moaning
Yeah.
and just like so he's just being like the biggest asshole about all of this. And so I feel like that's why the audience starts to hate the character so much, because we all pretty much hated this guy from the
Yeah.
beginning. And I think the movie did a really good job of actually setting up that like feeling towards him, because you're sort of like subconsciously like loving the city along with Ken. That's how I felt, at least, like when they were showing all the cool scenes of like the canals and like all the like the cool streets and like cityscapes. You're like, we were joking the whole time. We're like, wow, this looks terrible. Yeah, this is really shitty. But it all just looks super beautiful.
Yeah.
And then there's Colin Farrell over here just bitching and moaning, and you just get so angry at
It's
him.
like, man,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
And like there was a lot of cool like musical elements thrown in there too. Like I thought the score was very like whimsical and like really happy, and it fit like the visuals well. But then it was like a really stark contrast to like the kind of bleak, dark like discussions they were having, and even just like the comedy and the fact that they were talking about like suicide and like how he's conflicted about killing the child and a bunch of stuff. Like it's not a very like happy movie.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
At no point during this movie will you'll probably laugh at a couple lines, but like
there was some funny stuff in there.
There's some good bits of like banter between Ken mostly and some of the other characters. Like they're well done, but
there's some good writing in there.
yeah, but the other like jokes in there are not good.
Yeah.
I feel strange that the like tagline or the like summary for this movie on Amazon was just like an action-packed comedy. I was like, who wrote this? This is not that movie at all.
Yeah, like it's
nothing. There's
It's
nothing
them
like
trying
this.
to market it to like a mass
Yeah,
audience.
just
Yeah.
like
A clearly not mass audience friendly movie.
yeah, I
Not
definitely
at all.
don't think that this movie would perform well with general audiences.
but
But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, like the last sequence, like the last like
Final sequence.
the final
countdown.
destination, if you want to say. I don't know. Maybe
I was
like the
actually
last,
referring to. Sorry, I was referring to Human Centipede 3 Final Sequence.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, that movie that everyone's seen.
I don't know how I didn't get that reference.
The movie that everyone is aware of. I didn't know that was even a movie that existed. I'll be honest with you.
Let's put
I
one.
thought it
of
was
the-
only two.
I've seen Human
I've seen
Centipede
the
1.
first two.
Oh, well, let's put 3 on there. Wait, is 2 the one that's in black and white, or is that
Yes.
3? Okay.
Two.
That's an art film for
Actually,
sure.
all the movies like subsequently are within the previous, are within like a new. Wait, okay. So in Human Centipede 2, he's aware of the movie Human
Oh, right.
Centipede. Yeah,
Right,
and then
right.
in Human Centipede 3, I think they're aware of the
That's weird.
original.
That's weird as fuck.
I think that's kind of cool, but
I mean,
obviously
it's cool,
I'm not
but
gonna
it's strange.
I'm not gonna go out and watch the movies, but
Yeah.
I would as a gag.
That, honestly,
nothing but.
it doesn't live up to the hype. You're like, oh, this is like the most disgusting. It's not. It's not.
When we
that
watched the
gross.
first one, I was like, "This isn't even that bad."
Like,
Like,
yeah, it's like the idea is more disgusting than what you're actually looking at.
yeah.
so,
It's pretty bleak.
yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways, back,
So-
back to Bruges.
What was I saying about this movie?
Um,
Oh, the final sequence. I can't even say that anymore. the finale, if
There
you
you
will.
Sequence.
I thought was actually really good.
yeah.
Like, I was at the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought there was some decent, like, not twists, but surprise moments. There was a cool, like, they were playing, like, a cool, like, Irish song during it that I thought was
Yeah.
really interesting. That was, like, kind of sad, but, like, setting up, like, a cool, like, you know, showdown and everything. It was interesting. And then there was, in the midst of all that, there's kind of like a comedic element too when
Yeah.
Ray and Harry are doing
Having
like their whole
little
showdown.
banter back and forth. Like,
Yeah, like there's some interesting dialogue there. Like the tension was high, but they also managed to throw in some humor and everything. So I don't know. This movie was kind of a mixed bag for me. There was a lot of really good moments. There was a lot of things I didn't like. Mostly the just Ray's, not necessarily his character, but some of the dialogue choices they gave for him I thought was not the best.
Yeah.
But overall, I actually really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. It could have been awesome. It could have been amazing.
Yeah.
But I would say it was just good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It was pretty good.
I'm struggling to even like find a way to score this movie on my normal scale, so I'm not going to, because there's no accurate way for me to describe that on a number scale.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna say that this movie has its moments for sure. I think the ending and just like some of the actual like emotional and like thought like exploration that they have between the characters is really well done and is an interesting story. Doesn't really get there, and it's marred by its racist, sexist, homophobic jokes that are all throughout the movie, which is unfortunate, but it could have been.
Yeah, and it's not like every so often. It's like every scene has at least one part where they're doing something offensive and dumb.
And it's really a shame because, again, if that stuff was done differently, this movie, I would have been raving about this movie, but it's hard to do that with the baggage it comes with. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
I guess I would recommend this film to... It's hard to recommend it to people, honestly. I think the general plot is good, so if you just want to watch a unique movie that it's not too artsy, and if you enjoy the actors from Harry Potter, if you want to see some cool sights in... I assume they actually filmed it in Bruges.
I want to say they probably did.
yeah.
I hope so, because otherwise they look bad. But yeah, the sights are cool, and like it's an interesting little story, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, even though I didn't. I agree with y'all. So
Yeah, I don't know. Number scale. Letter scale. I'd give this like, somewhere between like a 7.5 and an 8. I'm gonna go with. I don't know exactly. That's terrible. I'm going with the 7.6.
All right.
I want to know like your.
0.1.
I want to know what your scores have been for other. Oh wait, you're on the letter scale though, right?
Yeah, so that would be like a C plus, B minus.
7.6. You're looking at a C, buddy. That's
Really? What's a B minus?
like 79 to 80. Or 81. Depends, really, but probably not even
I don't
70.
know. I'm gonna go with whatever. I'll throw the number out of there. I'll go with a C plus.
All right.
So whatever that is. I liked it. I wanted to love it. There were certain elements that I really liked. That I liked the score. I liked the cinematography. I thought the acting, for the most part, was pretty good. I thought the writing was mostly pretty good, except for the jokes. Not all the jokes. It was mostly the homophobic and racist jokes. That it's not even that I'm like necessarily offended by it. It's just I don't know why they were there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've thoroughly.
Yeah, like
discussed
we've kind of it. I'm sure people understand by now, but yeah, I just don't understand why they needed to be there. They felt a little out of place, and they could have illustrated what they could have done, what they did differently, without that stuff, and probably better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't perfect. Wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was still good, and the other elements that I mentioned bring it up despite that. But it is a big blemish on the movie, I think.
I agree. All right.
But overall, I would say people who are looking for a unique sort of black comedy thriller something should watch this, because it's very unlike most movies I've seen. It's a very unique and tonally and stylistically a very unique movie.
All right,
Mr. Ebert. All right, man.
All right.
What's
Well,
next
that's that.
What's next?
I mentioned that I had seen Kingsman: The Golden Circle and Jurassic World. We don't really need to talk about them that much. Coulter, you've seen Kingsman, right? Jordan, you
I reviewed it on this very cast.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. You haven't.
I have not seen King.
You've seen the first one.
Yes.
Okay. I forget. Did you liked this one, right? Didn't you give it a fairly positive review?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Because we talked about how the reviews for it weren't that great, but you said that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like I didn't overwhelmingly enjoy it. Like,
No, yeah, I know.
yeah, it was just like kind of, you know, more dumb fun. And I do think the choreography and like cinematography are interesting. And like since it's comic book, it's very outlandish. So like,
I kind of had to turn my brain off for this one.
yeah.
Not in the sense that like it wasn't on the level of, you know, Olympus Has Fallen or like one of those really bad Gerard Butler like spy flicks where it's just like why did that kid go out and do that? Or like, you know, it wasn't that the script or that anything was that bad. It was just actually the other side of the spectrum. Everything was just so over the top and ridiculous.
That's true.
And like
I couldn't really cling on to anything.
yeah, like it wasn't. There was never, because the whole thing about the first Kingsman is that it sets up like a fairly realistic, not incredibly realistic, but a fairly realistic like spy universe and world where you're like, okay, well, it's a little ridiculous.
Realistic
that, like,
enough to like
to
suspend your disbelief.
to be somewhat grounded, but then you realize like, okay, yeah, like these guys have a, you know, an umbrella that stops bullets or whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
But like, and then it goes off the rails when, or in a good way, when that whole church sequence happens, and you're like, holy shit, where did this come from? This movie was pretty, you know, somewhat tame up to this point, and then there's just an extended sequence where he kills 100+ people in a church by himself. Just the craziest action sequence ever.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, honestly, like, and I don't usually like to, I read reviews, but I don't usually like to latch on to things that they've said, like, overwhelmingly negative, at least, about most movies. But everything I kept reading about this was that it had, like, the whole thing of sequelitis. Like, they tried to go bigger, better, like, more badass, more explosions. Like, we need to raise the budget by, like, you know, $400 billion and do crazy shit. And that's literally what they did. The opening sequence of this movie, it's not a spoiler. The opening sequence of this movie is a car chase through London with multiple cars that have turrets that come out of the top, like Gatling guns. Eggsy is on a car door, like, doing some crazy shit, and he has to do, like, parkour off the door, and there's a car that comes by, and there's explosions.
The camera is moving in ways that aren't physically possible.
Yeah, the camera is, like, flying through, like, debris and doing all kinds of crazy shit, and you're just like,
through the car
is just
and
insane.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it's, like, obviously a CGI shot. Like, nothing is real.
Yeah, there's a lot of CGI, and, like, it's like they watched the first Kingsman, and they just
like took the wrong lessons almost.
Yeah, and the whole thing was that, like, when that crazy action happened, it was shocking and ridiculous because, like, it was just, it came out of the blue. Especially that church scene. There's a scene where he's fighting, like, the girl with the, like, knives on her feet or whatever, like, all that kind of stuff. You see that and you're like, okay, well, this seemed like sort of like a Bond parody, like sort of realistic spy thriller, but then there's just this ridiculous action that wouldn't be out of place in some sort of like crazy Hollywood blockbuster. And then they just go full Hollywood crazy blockbuster on the second one, and everything just seems a little too ridiculous. Yeah. Like the whole I don't know exactly how to describe it without just watching and pointing out like the shots, but in the first Kingsman, when they're doing the church scene, there's a lot of like I don't even know how to just like the camera movements, like the way that whenever they like hit or punch, the camera kind of like moves with. It's very kinetic and like moves with the body.
It's like
parts.
kind of anime looking.
Yeah, and it's like super accentuated. Like it accentuates all of the like movements of everything, like gun shots, like kicks, punches, jumps, like all this kind of crazy stuff. The camera is always like flying around all over the place, and in this movie every single action sequence kind of feels the same. Like you always kind of feel like it's the same set piece, but there's like different locales and different like items and people and things like that, but you never really feel like a connection between it. Like I don't know how to describe it. I just got like kind of bored with the way that the action was actually being filmed. I don't think it was a bad movie, but it was definitely like a turn your brain off. Just, I'm going to watch some, like, you know, some mild gore in there, some crazy, like, this swearing and just ridiculous stuff that's happening. There was actually a really funny ongoing bit with Elton John that I thought was pretty hilarious.
It's interesting that they did that. Yeah, he's in the movie prominently.
He's actually like a main character in the movie.
Is he a Kingsman?
No.
Damn.
But I don't know if that's I mean, it's whatever. the weirdest cameo I've seen in a movie in a long time.
That
but
sounds bizarre.
It's really weird. Yeah, Julianne Moore is the villain. I didn't really like her as the villain.
I feel like she could have been pretty interesting.
Like,
I bought her more than like some villains I've seen. I guess
she was interesting, and like her character
she
was
fit the tone of the movie. But
yeah. But in general, like,
in general, not the Joker.
yeah. I don't know. She fit the. Yeah, you're right. She fit the movie well, but yeah, there was some good moments in there. I like the characters of the Kingsman series. Like I the whole cast was good, but I would say I was not disappointed. I was hoping for more.
Yeah, I feel like what you describe is like, I think I might have mentioned this before, but someone was describing the Uncharted like DLC. It was like, yeah, this game's like really beautiful, but you get beauty fatigue, where it's just like every time you go around the corner, you see another like ridiculous looking vista. You're like, that's great, and like the 10th time it happens, you're just like, all right, this is done. Like I don't care anymore. And it's like the reason Kingsman 1 is so good is when you see those scenes, it's like there's like 2 or 3 of them throughout the movie, and you're surprised by them, and you're like, wow,
exactly,
that's great. And when an entire movie is that, you're just like, okay, it's really not that special anymore because you just overdid it 20 times. You know,
because real life has like peaks and valleys.
Yeah,
Not
like,
everything is a beautiful.
It's just not just
vista.
a constant.
Well, also the
ridiculous.
story in Kingsman, the first one, is actually pretty decent. Like it kind of has like Eggsy has his character arc from like white gangster chav dude in England to like becoming sophisticated and like turning his life around, and like the whole thing with like his mom and stepfather and like all this stuff, and then he kind of like redeems himself and has like the father figure of Colin Firth and like all this kind of stuff. Like looking back on it, the storyline is actually pretty decent, and I guess you could say like, well, they don't have to do as much with that because they've already established the characters in the second one, and that's true. But this is where sequels can go wrong, where they just try to go bigger and better on everything, and they forget what made the first one special in the first place. So yeah,
it's a common thing.
I mean, it happens, and I get it, but I was hoping for more because Matthew Vaughn, the director of actually both Kingsman movies.
Oh, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, actually. No, Matthew Vaughn, he's done Kick-Ass, and he did X-Men First Class. He did both Kingsman movies. He did a really good, I haven't seen it, but supposedly a really good action movie with Daniel Craig. Layer Cake, I think it's called. He's done it's
Pound
weird.
Cake.
Pound Cake. He's done a lot of like really good movies that I really enjoyed, and I think this is probably his worst one.
All right.
Which is disappointing.
It's a bit of a shame. A lot of hype around that movie before it came out, but
yeah, I won't say it was bad. It was just because I enjoyed it for the most part, but it was just a little empty.
I say a million things bad, and then you'd be like, I enjoyed it almost fully.
Overall, perfect movie.
Well, like I said, I turned my brain off. I kind of just enjoyed it for what it was, but it could have been a lot more, and it definitely was no Kingsman 1.
If I was like a Star Wars guy, and then if this was like how devoted I am to Star Wars for Kingsman, like if I was that devoted to Kingsman as I am for Star Wars, like I would have been so disappointed, and I would have cared a lot. But since I don't really care that much, like
it's
fine.
And like once the reviews came out, I kind of realized that. And this was, unfortunately, this is kind of what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for me, where it just seemed there was just too much. Like, they just did too much with, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And that was the case with this one, I think. And then I watched Jurassic World. I don't know why I don't know why I never saw this. I never saw it in theaters. It came out, like, on video in like 2014, I want to say. Never saw it. Just watched it the other day, and
2014. I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure because I was working at Barnes Noble when it came out, and that was 2014.
Yeah, I don't know.
20.
I could just be completely wrong.
Pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure it was. So yeah, because I remember this coming out, and it kind of just came and went. But Jordan, you've seen it?
Yeah.
Have you seen
Jurassic World? Yeah.
So
you're talking about the one with Chris Pratt, newest one, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know really how I feel about this. I liked it, but it I think at the time when I was watching it, I was like, you know, this kind of feels like what a modern Jurassic Park would be, sort of. But I also mentioned that it didn't have the heart of the first one.
Yeah.
And I've seen the second Jurassic Park. I haven't seen the third one, so I can't really say anything. Was there a fourth one too?
I'm
No.
not sure.
No.
No.
Okay, so I've seen the first two. I haven't seen the third one.
Jurassic World came out in 2015.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Oh, so yeah, so
You're shook by how I bested you.
I mean, somewhat. I'm a little upset.
You got him on
I
the
don't
ropes.
know if I'll be able to get over this one. No, so like I said, it kind of felt like a modern day Jurassic Park would be, but again, like I said, without the heart and without like the more like sincere moments, and it didn't have like the magic of the first Jurassic Park, especially the first one. And I don't know if that's because they didn't do as much like actual props, like they didn't make as many dinosaurs or any. I don't know if they did at all. They might have done. There might have been like a few close-up shots that I remember that they might have done some sort of like, what is it, like the, what do you call it?
Puppetry or like mechanical stuff.
Yeah, they make like mechanical dinosaurs in the first one. And there was like a
But like they had a full size
like
T-Rex.
animatronic. That's what it is. Huh?
Like in the first Jurassic Park, they had like a full size T-Rex
Yeah.
for some shots, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, like a lot of that stuff. The movie still holds up pretty well because a lot of that stuff is just actually real. Mm-hmm. And apparently, like a lot of
My
work,
will made real.
My will made real. They did. Mike Will made this. They did
Steven
a lot
Spielberg's
of
will made real.
they did a lot of real shit in there. Like apparently, I read a thing where like on the first. This is kind of a tangent, but on the first Jurassic Park. Like the T-Rex would short out from all the water that they were dumping during the rain sequence where like he's picking up the like the car when the kids are trapped in the car, and so the T-Rex would short out and they'd have to stop filming and like have a team of people dry off the T-Rex and like do all this stuff, and like there was a like some sort of like operator inside of the T-Rex operating like levers and like a bunch of like pulleys and shit to like move his arms and like a bunch of crazy stuff, and like he got trapped in there or something when like it short circuited and the mouth closed shut and they couldn't get him out of the T-Rex.
T-Rex ate him.
Like all this, like pretty much all this crazy shit happened, and so I read that and I'm like, okay, so they put like so much actual work.
A man almost died.
A man almost died in a T-Rex on set, a real T-Rex.
On Jurassic Park.
That's right, in Jurassic Park. They put all this work into it, and you can feel that like Spielberg magic from Jurassic Park, and then you watch Jurassic World, and Chris Pratt was fine. He was fine, like he's a movie star or whatever. The lady, the redhead, Bryce Dallas Howard, she was fine. She was like the damsel in distress sort of, but then they had the whole like Ray thing where at certain points like she would be running. And Chris Pratt would, like, go to, like, help her or, like, you know, reach for her hand or something. And she'd, like, slap it away. And she was like, no, I'm, like, a strong woman. I'm like, that's kind of cool to see. Like, she's a strong, independent woman who kind of handles her shit. And she has, like, a car chase moment that's kind of cool. But then it kind of all just feels like a Hollywood blockbuster. Like, it kind of has that, like, very shallow.
I found the movie to be completely just boring. And
Jordan's been waiting the whole
inside.
time.
Like,
Well,
the
it was
movie is
just-
just
Speak
dead
these words.
inside. It's all CGI. It's so just it captures literally nothing of the original movies. Of just like, here's Chris Pratt and his fucking lovable goof character again. It's like, you're doing this shit again. Like, none of the characters are believable. There's like that one point where the captain or the CEO of the place or whatever is like, oh, we got to get in this helicopter, and then like he's also just an expert helicopter pilot, and it's like, what? Like, everyone just knows how to do everything, or like the main monster is just like, oh, we created this T-Rex prototype that can be invisible and also has really great claws, but we put a wall around it, it'll be fine. And then obviously it breaks out. It's just like, this movie is just ridiculous. You can see everything coming in this movie, like, one after another, and it's just so stupid.
Yeah, and like it, from what I understand, it happened. It did happen in a world where Jurassic Park happened because they mention like Hammond leaving all the money.
The
and,
entire
like,
premise of the movie is just fucking unbelievable to me when they're just like, oh no, don't worry guys, we got it. It's like, you fucking don't, because look, the shit happened already.
Fucking don't.
You guys are just following just the script. It's like, well, this bad thing's gonna happen because it has to again, because this is Jurassic Park, I guess.
Yeah, like
it's just silly.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb at some parts. There were some cool shots like towards the end with the whole raptor sequence where they let the raptors loose, and Chris Pratt was like driving the motorcycle and everything, and there were some really cool shots of like from the raptors'
They probably like
perspective
sold
of
the
them,
movie
like,
with that pitch right there.
yeah, like there was some cool sequences. But
Whoa, Delta, hold on, let me talk to the raptor. Oh, I got it. That's
Yeah.
fucking Chris Pratt's character. It's so stupid.
yeah, just like talking to the raptors.
it's like, whoa, hang on, Betty, I got this.
Yeah, there was
I got
just
it. It's just the stupidest.
Yeah,
thing. He's like a raptor cowboy. It's so dumb.
yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't hate this movie throughout, and I probably should have, because this is kind of like the exact movie that I'm against. With like, you know, Hollywood shills and just people using a bunch of CGI and like losing the heart of the movie. I didn't even think it was like the worst. I didn't think it was terrible, but I just kind of felt not a whole lot while watching it, and it was fine. Like, if I had paid to go see this in the theater, I would have been like, yeah, it was okay. Like, I don't think it got very bad reviews. It did well at the box office. Like, it
Incredibly well.
Of course
at
it
the
did.
box
yeah,
Jurassic
people
Park,
people seemed to like mostly enjoy it. I don't know if anyone thought it was like the best in the series by any means, but you know, they thought it was okay.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fine, but doesn't come anywhere near the heights of the first Jurassic Park, which is probably one of the best movies of all time.
I won't go down this road with you, but it's a good movie.
I'll say it's up there. It's let's say it's a pretty important movie. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But Jurassic World was fine.
Yeah, there's something about Jurassic World that I was like along on the ride with. We saw it, or I can't remember who I saw it with, but we saw it in like a super packed theater on like one of the opening nights. I wasn't even planning on seeing it, but people were like, oh, let's go see it, blah blah. And people were like reacting to stuff, and like it was a fun kind of movie theater experience. And I actually kind of liked the opening, like them going to the park and like seeing all they had kind of interesting concepts for like what a modern day Jurassic Park would be. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting to me. And there was some sort of like wonderment type feeling that came along with that. But pretty much the rest of the movie was more or less shallow garbage.
Then they had some homages here and there, like some shots and like musical cues and things like that to the original that were kind of interesting.
I mean,
but it also kind of felt like they were doing that, like, hey, we watched the first movie too, like we've seen it.
You have to completely separate yourself from the original movies when you watch that movie, because there's 0% of what made that movie good in this movie.
Yeah.
Except for a tiny bit of the wonderment of a Jurassic Park situation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I saw this movie close to when it came out too, so I don't remember all of it, but I do also remember not liking much of the characters in that movie. Like the
they're all
two
trash.
brothers.
I hated
The
the
two
kids.
brothers are
Really?
I
trash.
hated the kids. Everyone hated the kids.
They're terrible characters, and like they're one of the main points in that movie. I'm just like, I fucking hate this. I remember the part when they're in the ball, like rolling around. I just fucking hated that.
Yeah.
movie.
There was a laugh out loud part where they were watching the show with like basically a Shamu show, like a SeaWorld show, and it pans over to the two kids, and the one kid is like just sad, like looking down at his phone, like at like a picture of his girlfriend or something like that, and it was just so heavy-handed that I literally laughed out loud.
Like, it's really stupid.
Yeah,
because he was like moping about like, oh, my girlfriend.
Yeah, and he's like,
go to Jurassic Park.
Make sure you take pictures of you every day so I don't forget what you look like.
Yeah, there's a fucking dinosaur flying through the air, like in a pool of water, and he's just like, I'm looking at my flip phone. He had like a sidekick or something.
Really stupid.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. I could be completely wrong about that.
No, it was 2015 probably. So.
It was
It was
2014.
in 2015
man, it's not hot. So anyway, I mean, we probably never really need to talk about that because it came and went. But yeah, I saw it,
and we didn't say anything new about it. But
not really. Fine. I mean, honestly, part of this was because I think at the time we were watching we watched the trailer for the new one, And I was like, oh, I mean, that looks fine. I never saw the first one. And I was like, you haven't seen the first one? We have to watch that. And so we watched it. It was fine. I don't know if I'm that excited for for Fallen Kingdom or whatever the new one is. The trailer looked fine.
What is there? Please let us not go into this. But is there a new Jurassic Park?
We can stop right now.
What?
In the new one, is there like a new Jurassic Park?
I don't know.
Or like, what is the setup? I'm just wondering what the setup is.
I don't know. In the trailer, did you watch the trailer?
No.
In the trailer, I don't know if it's a teaser or trailer or what. It's not very long, but there's like a volcano, and it explodes, and there's a lot of like.
That doesn't surprise me.
There's a lot of like volcano stuff flying through the air, and there's
this sounds fucking idiotic.
There's like debris.
Right,
there's debris and like crazy shit flying down, and then of course they have the scene of like people waiting in a car or something. And there's a bunch of lava and like stuff flying through the air and like comets and rocks and shit. And a bunch of dinosaurs are running down the hill and there's like an avalanche or something.
Of course.
And then of course Chris Pratt is running in front of him and he's like, "We gotta go!"
Was he riding a raptor at this point? He's like, "Come on,
no, he's just running down the hill and he's like, "We gotta go!"
Makes like a quirky joke.
Yeah, and then he like.
That movie's gonna just be shit.
He's being Chris Pratt. I don't know. He's
Star-Lord, man.
Yeah.
Jurassic World is lifeless, and the next one is going to be even more so. There's no way that they somehow redeem like the magic of any film.
Absolutely, I've never been more sure that it will not redeem itself.
This movie is going to be as lifeless as all the dinosaurs are right now. They're going to be in the dirt.
Got them.
That's a savage, but
dinosaurs are among us in the form of birds.
This movie's going to be as lifeless as all the dinosaurs except birds.
Except birds.
Except current day birds.
Yeah, so that's that.
Please, can we switch topics from that garbling?
Yes, we're done with that. If you haven't seen Jurassic World, you don't need to. So we talked about the movies. We didn't talk about anime, so we're going to do that now. No, we're not. We're going to talk
about...
Anime Koina. No, we're going to talk about video games.
Wait, hold up. I added something, but you must not have seen it. It's fine.
I didn't.
It didn't update
I didn't see it.
Guys,
I didn't see it.
By the time you're watching this, Star Wars will have come out, and we will have seen it, or at least I will. But as of recording this, it's coming out tomorrow. So, do we have any thoughts on that, just real quick?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous.
I'm nervous.
I've never been nervous for a movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. Nothing. There's no stakes in me watching a movie.
I feel like this is gonna be. I mean, we talked about this when Force Awakens came out. We said that this would make or break how we feel about Star Wars going forward. It's
kind of true, yeah.
So,
I'm terrified.
I mean, it's not like I'm like feeling like genuine anxiety over seeing this movie. It's just like after seeing Force Awakens, like I liked Force Awakens. I think I probably liked it more than most people did. But Star Wars feels different, and I am hoping that this, I mean, from what I understand and from what I'm hoping, this is going to be the dark middle chapter a la Halloween Town 2 Calibar's Revenge, where all the characters are thrown into peril. It seems like the First Order is doing pretty well. Seems like, our heroes are kind of on the ropes.
I guess. I mean,
we'll see.
They won, so... honestly, you said the way the first movie plays out is going to make or break how you feel about Star Wars.
And the second one.
Okay.
This one.
Okay, well, the first one, after I watched that, I feel apathetic towards Star Wars at this point, where I don't care one way or the other. The movie's going to be fine. It's not going to bomb. It's not going to be a terrible movie. No, it's not going to
be a terrible movie.
And, I have no, rising excitement for it one way or the other at this point, which I'm sad to say, because I love Star Wars, but I just, quite frankly, don't care that much about, the hype around it. I'll watch the movie and probably enjoy it, but it's not going to be, I'm not waiting day one to go, stake out at a campsite to go watch it or anything like that.
Do you think there's any chance that it could be really good and you like it?
I'm sure it could be a great movie, and I hope it is a great movie, because then I'll be excited for the next ones. But if it's similar to the last one, I'll come away slightly disappointed by it.
Yeah,
and I hope that doesn't happen.
I am excited to watch it because I want to see what Rian Johnson does with it, because I do like him as a director, and I think it's promising that they are confident enough in him to have him be to helm a new trilogy. Like they already the fact that they even announced that before the movie even released, or it was even like had its premiere to critics or anyone, was interesting. That would usually be something they would announce, like, you know, after this movie came and went. I feel so. It's interesting that the
director and like upper executive level roles for Star Wars movies have been a rocky road at this point. So like, if he even stays as directors for the next 3 movies, like, is still up in the
I think
air.
it's interesting that they would announce that after the movie has already been completed and finished and is about to be shown to people, because Colin Trevorrow from Episode 9 was kicked out before they even they haven't said a word about Episode 9 other than the fact that it exists. With the Han Solo thing, they didn't announce the title, they didn't announce like anything about it, and then they announced that Chris Miller, Chris Lord, or whatever the
Chris
people's
Pratt.
names are, Chris Pratt and
Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Yeah, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They announced that they were out before we knew anything, before we even had a reason to be excited about them directing it, other than the fact that people like them for what they've done previously. But then with this, I don't know, it just, something feels different with them. Like, they feel really confident, and I think they feel pretty confident in Rian Johnson. So
Yeah, I mean, they're out for their best interests, not like how good the movie is. But
yeah, obviously,
I do think that there's a chance that it could be pretty dang good. Yeah, I had a bigger point to make about it. I can't really remember, but yeah, I wasn't super. I guess, yeah, the point I was going to make is that they feel kind of corporate and, like, shallow and stuff like this, stuff we were talking about with Jurassic World. And I had it, and then I lost it. No, yeah, I just hope it's not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I want this movie to change my, like, outlook on this entire franchise, but I don't know. Like, I don't follow the hype of, like, the trailers or anything. Like, I barely watch them. I don't, like, look at anything regarding Star Wars. Like, so I have no expectations one way or the other going into the movie. And when I watch it, well,
their marketing has been interesting for this. I know, Coulter, I won't say anything because I know you haven't watched the trailers. Have you seen any Instagram, like, advertisements for this?
Well,
like, not like clips, but like the pictures, or like have you seen any promotional material for the movie?
Kind of. I don't really know exactly what you're referring to. But
Well,
kind of.
I mean, it's not really it's not anything that major, but like one of the major things they've been doing for the advertisements has been like, they'll show a picture, like, it's like on Instagram you can scroll to another picture, and they'll show like one half of the picture is like blue.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll say like, you know, like a quote or something from the character, and then the other half will be red, and it'll have like a quote that's like more menacing, or like supposed to make you think that, like, oh my god, like
two
Rey,
sides to every person.
and so like that's interesting, and they're doing the whole thing where, like, I've seen a bunch of interviews, because they've been doing the whole interview circuit on the like Tonight shows, or like the late night shows. They've done all the morning shows. They've done like YouTube stuff, like all over the place. The marketing blitz for this movie is insane, of course, because it's Star Wars. But a lot of the stuff they've done involves, like, Luke keeps saying, like, it's not going to go the way you think it's going to go. And, like, you know, they keep hinting at, oh my god, is Rey going to be evil? Is she going to be good? Is Kylo going to be good? Is he still going to be evil? And so they're doing this whole thing where, like, they're making you kind of, like, second guess all the characters and, like, their motives and where they're going to go. But I feel like that's too obvious of a marketing ploy for the movie to actually go in that direction. So I'm wondering what the actual theme or, like, the tone of the movie will be, because I just never trust advertisements nowadays. Like, it's always so misleading. I feel like it's not going to be anything close to what they're doing.
I like that whole thing about Rey. Like, I've heard people say that before, and it's like, I have no information prior to that to ever make me think that. But, like, the Kylo Ren thing was like, that is his character, is a conflicted character, so like that's an obvious thing. I was like, well, is he gonna, like, go back, or is he gonna be a good guy? And it's like, okay, yeah, I know that, and I would be interested if this movie, like, diverges from the, like, easiest just good guy, bad guy, light side, dark side.
That's what I mean. Like,
complex. It's not interesting enough to keep that going for another movie or 2 more movies. So if it does shifts a little bit, I would intrigue me more. But I don't know if that's
That's
gonna
what
be the
I
thing.
mean. Like the way that they are trying to make you think it's gonna go is just seems way too obvious and way too safe, and also like I don't know. Star Wars is big enough at this point where they know that people are gonna be coming up with theories and like guessing up and down like who's related to who, what's gonna happen to so and so, like. Oh my God! Who is Luke's father, or who is Rey's father, or who is
It was Luke's father.
Anakin Skywalker.
blah blah? Yeah, all this stuff. So I don't know. Something just the advertisements have they're interesting to me because they just seem so heavy-handed with a very specific like direction that they're trying to make you think the movie's gonna go in. But I want to see what's actually gonna happen because. It doesn't seem that easy. It doesn't seem that simple.
I honestly think that it's going to follow the same two movies that we've seen by being pretty like safe and shallow, and until they prove me otherwise, I'm going to just assume that it's going to be.
Oh, that was one thing I wanted to say. Do we think that there is a chance of them not doing something like that because of just how, like, the sheer weight and size of this franchise at this point? Like.
Yeah, it's in their best interest to market to as wide of an audience and like international audiences and like dumb it down and stuff and like be as close to the originals.
They're gonna play it safe. Like if they make a move that is just like, whoa, this like Rey like killed someone like in cold blood, like that's so divisive and just like not inherent to the Star Wars universe that people will riot in the streets and it'll be nonsense. I would enjoy that because they're actually taking a risk, but like the majority of people want like the safeness of the franchise is again in their best interest, and they're not going to ruin it by doing something.
When you think
risky.
about Disney and Star Wars as a whole company, you're like, of course, like they're not going to take a crazy risk. So.
Like every Disney, like Marvel from now on, all these Star Wars movies, they don't take risks. Like they haven't, and at this point, it seems like they never will.
The last risk that was taken was the prequels, and look how that ended up.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, and I hate to even bring up that question because that's my problem. I mean, I always say this, but that's my problem with movies and like video games and everything nowadays is that like they're getting so big and so like astronomically popular, and there's so much money behind it and going into it, and like there's so much money to be made that. I mean, I get it from a business perspective, but it just feels, at a certain point, it feels a little soulless, and it feels like it could be so much more if they just step back a little bit and realize that, I don't know, it's hard not to feel like these movies are being churned out of like a corporate machine. Like everything is being so carefully constructed and like, just the way that they control information about the movie and like the advertisements and everything, like everything is so meticulously crafted that when the movie finally releases, you kind of just feel like of course it's going to be good because there's, a factory, like it's like a mill of people just making sure that this movie is exactly what it is, and they don't care if it could possibly be something more as long as they make the money that they need or meet their projections or whatever. So it's upsetting.
Yeah. I hope they prove us wrong.
Me too.
I think it's possible with Rian Johnson because I think he's a talented director, but I don't know how much that matters if he's being controlled by...
If he's being puppeted.
If he's being puppeted by Disney and Lucasfilm and all that stuff, so... I guess we'll see.
We'll know by next week.
That's true. I think that'll be a... Are we gonna talk spoilers for that? Do we know yet?
We'll figure it out.
I
don't know. We'll see.
Down the road. Alrighty.
All right.
Well, that's that.
You're now clear.
Clear for
to move
takeoff.
on.
Okay. So we talked Star Wars. We talked movies. How about some games?
Sure.
Do you guys play video games still?
No.
Is that a thing that... No?
I play one video game.
One video game. What's that?
Gundam Versus.
Gundam Versus.
Slime
Actually, I haven't
Rancher.
played Gundam Versus in a while. I'm a bit rusty.
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
PUBG. Actually been split my time pretty decently between PUBG now and then. Some Rocket League. Coulter and I, we did a couple streams, I think, on our rise to the top, if you will.
I didn't stream.
Man, it's not
I
hot.
don't
Last
know if you
couple
did.
ones, I don't know. I didn't stream the last ones, but
Okay. We didn't stream, but
But you played.
We've been playing
played.
Rocket League. Been doing well, for the most part. Playing more Rainbow Six, pretty frequently. I try to play that at least a couple times every day. But mostly I've been
We
playing...
need to play that more as a group.
Yeah. I really enjoy that game.
That's a
It's
cool game.
really easy for me to just hop in and play like a couple matches because there you can play at least like, a few rounds each and it feels, different every time. So that's fun. But yeah, I like that game a lot. But I've been playing Xenoblade 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2? I don't know the full title.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch. And at this point, it's probably the most played game I've played on the Switch at this point.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Electric Weeaboo.
Yeah.
Electric
This
Weeaboo.
game, I'm not gonna pretend that this isn't an anime-inspired game. It is, greatly. It's not even a great game. It's just, I think I heard someone say what I think is the best description of it is that it's a really great 7 out of 10. Like, it's all the good things you want out of a 7 out of 10 game. It's like, it's got some issues, like, it doesn't look
That sounds like
fantastic.
Dane's review of any movie.
Yes. It's good,
Savage.
So
but it
savage.
has some issues. It doesn't look great. Like, again, it's running the Switch, so can't really knock it for that, but, like, it has frame rate issues quite poorly sometimes. There's, like, you can do, like, special attacks with your characters, and at one point when I was doing it, the game was moving frame by frame, and I was just counting the just animation pop-ins just over and over, which was bad, but, I like that game a lot. I think I have, like, 50 hours in it so far, and the game came out a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's fun. It's the storyline like is very JRPG. The whole game is a JRPG, so make of that what you will if you like those games, but I like it a lot. The story is generic but does its parts, like it has the main character who struggles, and then at the end of the chapter there's usually a giant climactic battle and the music like flares up into like its crescendo, and it's a fun like ending to each chapter.
The music is really good.
Music is pretty good in all parts. There's like
It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts.
a little bit, yeah. There's some vocal tracks in there at some points too, which is a fun little thing.
Not a
but-
typical game soundtrack thing.
No, yeah, not really. Vocals tend not to be in there unless they're in like a cutscene, but
Unless it's the sick-ass, crisp-ass cutscene at the beginning of every Kingdom Hearts
or
game.
if you're playing near Automata, which has made
A
up
lot
vocals.
of vocals in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the game a lot. It's been soaking up my free time.
Could you imagine if there were vocals in the Doom soundtrack? That would be wild.
That would be.
The only vocals they really have are in the first
Oh yeah, that dude
all
is
the
singing.
basically is
all
the
the tablets about the Doom Slayer, which let me say, the Doom soundtrack, great to listen to if you're like murdering someone or something.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
no, like I was about to say it's great to listen to when you're just hanging around the house. But that's not true at all. There's never really a good situation to listen. Maybe if you're like working out, that
mean,
could,
if
like
you're
if you're doing like a workout, like an intense workout, I
Just
can
listen
see.
to like some thumping, just like hard
If you're a
metal.
construction worker.
if you're doing some sort of manual labor, like if you're like hammering in like a nail on your
If
wall
you're
or
boxing.
something. Yeah, that's right. If you're doing any sort of MMA, could throw that on there.
Sure.
But I love that on the soundtrack they throw in like interspersed throughout the album. It'll be like however many tracks, and then they'll have like the first tablet. And it'll just be like the crazy Doom guy's voice,
demon voice.
like the demon voice reading the tablet, and then it'll go into a song, and then there's like 5 songs, and then another one,
Yeah.
and it's like a little bit of you're going on a little journey while you're listening to it.
Can't say I've listened to that in its entirety.
I haven't listened to the
one
entire
through.
album all the way through, but I've listened to a lot of the songs, and like when it fades into that, and the guy starts talking, you're like, this is great. This guy's voice is great.
Yeah, that voice is good. Anyways.
Good stuff. I've only played like 2 hours of Xenoblade, I think. So I'm like in JRPG time. I've done absolutely nothing.
I think the game actually does a pretty good job of like picking up like pretty immediately. The combat is like kind of boring at first. You just basically when you get into combat, you just sit there and they auto attack, and that is how you fight for the first couple hours. But very quickly after that, you start getting abilities, and then they keep building off of that. You can do like combos between people. You can like cancel your normal attacks and then keep building like a combo and do chain attacks and stuff. It gets pretty complex. It looks chaotic. Like at the point I'm at in the game, you see a bunch of just like indicators pop up that are like steam bomb attack or like edge of the abyss or something. And it's like I don't know what this means, but it does a attack, and you just activate it, and it's fun.
I mean,
It's kind of like Kingdom Hearts at this point, TBH.
A little bit.
Where you
the
just,
combat
like,
probably not quite as crazy.
Is not nearly as actiony as Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, you can like run around and stuff. You're standing still in this game.
It does really remind me of Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Even more action than that though, because you're pressing buttons, like trying to do moves.
Like
but
on it's like time-based
Yeah.
things, and yeah. So
that's fun. Also, I really like I like some of the character designs in that game. They do a thing that I liked in Tekken 7, which is where they have kind of artwork or concept art for the characters, and they show you who actually drew the artwork. And so you unlock these like blades, which are basically characters that you use to change your weapons and stuff. And some of them have like really awesome looking designs. Some of them are bad. And clearly very sexualized. There's a lot of just like
yeah,
boobs,
I mean
breasts,
that's just at this point.
it's like really bad at some point.
That's
There's
just anime.
like, it is, but also there are some that are just outrageous. Like when you look at them, I was just like, that's not great. That's real bad.
those are some big boobs.
I was like, wow, that's really
some really big
suggestive.
boobs.
So, but yeah, for the most part, I'm enjoying
What
it.
is that character?
I don't know. Those are big. Those are some big boobs.
But yeah, it's good.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to play more of that.
I like most of the characters too. There's one like mascot, like animal character who's who's just shit.
They always need one of those.
They do, and he's really bad.
He's no Teddy.
He's not. He's far worse than Teddy. In English, he's abysmal. I don't know if you've heard they have like these little characters called like Nopons or something.
Yeah, I
these
know
little
what you're
furry
talking
dudes.
about.
They like talk without using like they drop words in their sentences like, oh, I like do this thing, or I love this to do. It's just like trash, like animal, like baby speak.
It sort of reminds me of like they're trying to be
Your least
like
favorite thing.
they sort of look like the Koroks,
Yeah.
but they're not as cute as the Koroks. And then they also sort of remind me of Moogles,
Yeah.
but they're not as
charming.
charming as Moogles.
They're really bad.
Yeah.
And in English, this is the other thing that I like to bring up, is that the English version of that game is fine, but the main character is supposed to be a child. Or not a child.
He's supposed to be like
a
15,
teenager,
like
like
16.
It's ambiguous. They don't quite say, but everyone refers like, oh, look at this kid. Like, you're just a young kid. Like, sorry, young man, you're not going to do this stuff. In the English version, his voice no one would mistake this dude for a kid.
Yeah, he sounds like an adult.
He is an adult man with
fully
an Irish
grown man.
accent, and it's just bizarre listening to it. I was like, what? Like, and that is true for a lot of the other characters in the game. Like, there's a character called like Nia, who's looks like the same age as the main character, just sounds like a full adult woman with, again, a weird Irish accent. It's just like, what is going on here? Like,
but then the Japanese voices sound
the
just
Japanese
about right.
voices sound more like appropriate. There are still some
they're
that
more
are
age
like,
appropriate.
Yeah, there are still some for the Blades that you're like, oh, this looks like a very full-grown woman. Her voice sounds like a baby, and I'm not comfortable with this. Like, it's really awkward sounding. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The other thing I like is that the English names, I don't like this for a couple reasons, but the subtitles don't change the names. Like, the localization, they change the names from Japan to English names. So there's like a character whose name is Poppy. It's like, okay, Poppy, like a flower. But in the Japanese version, they call her Hana. It's like, but every time they say Hana, it just shows Poppy on the screen. Like, it's confusing when you don't know the character's name, or like when they say it, you're like, well, it sounds nothing alike. Like, there's no comparison. Mm-hmm. But you do kind of see a little bit of like Hana is a Japanese version of like a flower, so it makes sense their name is Poppy. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But some of them are bad, and some of them are just weird. Like, there's an area in the game called Indol, which is like, okay, that's in English it's called Indol, but then in Japanese it's Arcadia. It's like, why did you even change that? Like, that's not even like a Japanese sounding name at all. That's just a name. What's the point? So
that isn't actually weird.
It is weird. And also when they speak, like when they do attacks, they usually have call outs. In English, that's just nonstop, just barrage of people saying things like rolling edge, spin blade, double slash,
jump
like,
cut,
dude. They say it so
backslash.
Every time you activate the ability, they say it. I'm just like, wow, I can't listen to this. And in
that
Japanese,
was-
they still say it, but at least like for the most part, they are not like I can't understand some of the things they're saying, so it makes it a little more bearable.
That was the joke with Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
When you play Shulk and he does his like like jumping,
And he
like,
says it
attacking.
every
He's like
time.
backslash. Like he actually just does that in.
And that's just what they do.
Like when I played it on the 3DS, that is really just what it was. Like every time you would do your special ability, it's like raging fire, backslash,
and
backslash,
it's
just
not
over
like it's
and
just
over again.
one person saying this at a time. It's 3 characters who are just yelling things out, and the voiceover lines just merge with each other. The enemies are saying things. It sounds like nonsense.
And there's like
Let's
explosions
all 3
and
do
shit.
it right now.
Backslash, raging fire, jump slash,
big jump.
big
Big
boy,
boy.
spicy big bite.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I like that game a lot. So
Yeah, I need to
will
play more of
continue
that.
to play it.
My Switch has been getting a lot of use recently.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Mario on. I haven't played Mario after I beat it, but
I did play Zelda a little bit the other day. I am determined to beat that soon.
Oh
God
shit! I
bless
forgot you hadn't even beat that.
I haven't beat it yet.
Savage.
Yeah. No, I mean I like it. I just I stopped to play other stuff and never went back.
Fair
I'm
enough.
it
enjoying
happens.
It happens.
Sometimes you make that decision yourself. Sometimes it just happens. You know.
It happens. It happens a lot recently. There's a lot of games out this year.
Have you ever just decided to just stop playing a game before?
Yes.
Because it was bad specifically.
Yeah. What was the
or
last
because
game
you thought
that
it was bad. I don't know.
was the
Or
last
you're just
game
like,
that I stopped
I don't want to
playing?"
do this anymore. You know.
I guess I did stop
I
playing
mean,
Shadow
on
of
like
War.
PS2, kind of.
I made that decision more this year than I ever have. Shadow of War was the one where I was just like, I'm done. I'm not playing this anymore, and I just
Yeah.
uninstalled it.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5.
I am gonna go back and play Persona 5.
I'm sure you will.
I will. I like that game.
It's fine.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
just kidding, bud.
I love you, bud. I haven't really been playing a lot of new stuff besides. I mean, I have barely played Xenoblade, so I can't really speak to that. What else have I been playing?
PUBG.
Yeah.
I saw you went live today for about 4 minutes and then got joked and then you got off.
Did you watch?
Yeah.
I got angry.
I saw that you went live and what the title was Operation Chicken Dinner Solo Mission.
Yeah.
Like in all caps or something like that. And then I watched it. I saw that it was 4 minutes long. I was like, oh no, Dane
What
got
happened in
joked
that
or
mission?
something.
So I dropped in to not the Weasley's house, but it was like that little complex where there's like the big farmhouse. I don't know how to explain it. It's one that we drop at somewhat frequently. There's like 3 or 4 houses, and there's another house like across the way, and then you can go down the hill, and there's another little house, and then there's a big field, and there's Pachinki.
Okay.
So like we dropped there a lot, but so I dropped there. I'm like, this is a tried and true place. Like this is a good place. I drop in. There's someone else there with me. There's 2 people there with me. This is solo. And I go and get a pistol. I don't find anything. I find the 1911 or whatever, the 45 ammo. 1 box of ammo. So I have like what, 15
count.
shots or whatever. So I go
7
in.
bullets per clip.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, well, this is just fucked. So I run into like the big longhouse, the big like farmhouse or whatever. I run in there, and then as soon as I get in there, I'm trying to search for stuff. I see like a gas can. There's like just nothing in the house, like in the first room. Like, well, I don't know what to do at this point. And so I'm in like the little kitchen area, and as soon as I'm like I go to like pick up like bandages or something. And then I hear the guy opening the door from the other side. So I just hide, like I'm in the kitchen and I'm just hiding, like, and I have my like camera positioned over my left shoulder. And so then the guy walks in and he walks in with his gun already drawn. He's like looking around the room. And then I just go, like, I have a stroke or something. And I come out from behind the thing. Like I peek
And you
out.
start shooting, you hit him like a couple times.
Yeah, I shoot him and I hit him like...
By all accounts, you should win this gunfight.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had the jump on him, and he had like a fucking dumbass bicycle helmet on or whatever. And so I'm sure I probably maybe hit him in the head. I don't really know, but I'm shooting him. I just completely miss at some point. I have to reload.
Yeah,
and
that was the worst part, is that you had to reload, and he still had shots.
and he apparently hadn't fired off that many shots.
Yeah.
And then which I didn't even pay attention to. And then I'm reloading, and then he just domes me in the head, just one shot.
Yeah,
And I didn't have like
he
a
hits you
helmet or
once
anything.
and then hits you in the head. And you're dead.
He hits me once in like in the chest or something,
Yeah.
and then he hits me in the head, and I'm just dead. And And then I literally just
And you hit him
closed,
probably
and then I
3 or
just
4
closed the
times.
stream. I just shut up.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done playing this.
And then it just says 4 minutes.
No, and
long.
then I did play another match after that, and I got 8th place,
Not streamed.
not streamed. I
Sounds
made it.
suspect.
I made it to.
Sure you did, bud.
No, I did play a total of 2 matches, and then I stopped because I got angry that I didn't win. I got to, where did it end?
You're an angry young man. It's fine.
I was in you know that like big area with like the big house up on the hill, and then below it there's the part where it has all those junk cars, and that we always like, oh, there's a car over there, and it's just a pile of like 4 or 5 cars, like all junked. And then like if you run away from there's another big house and like a little shack. And
No.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like a big tall house, and then there's a little staircase that you can run down, and then there's like 3 houses down there. There's a little complex.
It doesn't really
Go
matter
on.
at all.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But like we go there a lot, and anyway, the battle ended there, and I was out in the field like picking people out as they ran in with my SKS, and it was just extremely loud, and I had a 2-time scope on it, and I was just waiting for people to run in from the circle as it closed, and I was just picking them off, and then another guy with an SKS just killed me in one shot,
Yeah.
like from God
That's how
knows
it
where.
happens.
I was going in on people. I got like 4 or 5 kills at the end, and then it's one shot. It's all it takes.
Yeah.
And it was very loud. I didn't have. I was really stupid because I was in the one spot behind a tree, like right on the edge of the circle as people were coming in, because the circle was closing, and just as they were sprinting in with like reckless abandon, I would just like pick them off. But I wasn't moving, and like I didn't change my position at all. I was just sitting there like camping behind this tree, and then someone probably listened to me fire off like 30 rounds from my loud ass gun, and then just killed me in one shot. So I fucked up. But it was like 8th or 9th place or something like that.
That's the key learning experience in that game, is like, when do I just not shoot anyone anymore and just wait?
I should have stopped. I shouldn't have even been doing that in the first place. I should have gone into the circle somewhere and like positioned myself better than where I was, because I had no cover. I was behind one tree just by myself, like firing off. I had like 200 rounds for my SKS. I was just
That's too much ammo.
because I had an AK, and I had a lot of rounds for that, and I was like, okay, this will be like my close quarters weapon. So I just put it on auto, and then I killed some guy kind of randomly, and he turned around as we were fighting. He turned around and like hit me once, and it did a shit ton of damage. I was like, did he have like a Kar 98 or something? And so I made a point, and this was in Pachinki, and I sprinted over to his body, and he had an SKS with like cheek pad, like everything for it. And then he had like 150 rounds or something, and I already had stuff from my AK, so I just dropped my AK, and I ended up with like 230 rounds for my SKS. And so at that point, and this was towards the end of the match, when I got into the circle, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go Chris Kyle on these people, and then I just emptied like 50 plus rounds into people as they were running in, and then eventually, if you shoot enough,
Your past will catch up to you.
if you shoot enough like large ass rounds out of a large ass gun, someone's gonna hear you
Someone
and they're gonna
will
kill
find
you. And that's what happened with an SKS actually.
Yeah.
That's how it happens.
So I got fucked. That was off stream. I did get mad when I got killed in that house.
There's a duos match that me and Jordan played, and we got pretty dang far. I can't remember exactly how many people were left. It was probably like around 10, maybe
so, yeah.
12, 13.
Between like 10 and 15-ish.
Yeah, Jordan got sniped by a guy that we didn't see, and I was behind a rock, so I don't think he knew where I was. And so I kind of took it slow. Jordan died, and so it was up to me. And I kind of took it slow, went up to where the guy was, but he had moved already. So then I followed him and snuck up on him, kind of, but then he saw me.
Yeah.
And so we had a gunfight, and I won the gunfight with an S12K, I think, as a shotgun.
Well, what happened was, when you were shooting at him, another guy from
Oh, yeah.
was shooting at him as well, and so he got like dinged like multiple times, and then you turn the corner with a shotgun. Like, the shotgun is very close range in this game, and like you hit him once, I was just like, whoa, he just died.
Yeah,
That
he
was
just dies
really
right off the
fast.
bat. Yeah, I got kind of lucky, TBH. But yeah, I got that guy, and then there was a rock right next to him, a big rock, and then the circle just like kept being perfect for me
Yeah.
to where I just stay behind that rock and I just like my back is to the circle and I just look all around me. I can see everything.
Yeah.
And then it came down to just me and one other guy, and I was able to beat him because I had way better cover than him. It could have gotten a little hairy because I did have to move right at the end, and I killed
Yeah.
him as the circle was moving.
I also remember when you were fighting him, you had like an 8x
had an
scope on your
8x
gun,
scope.
and you every single time, like I'm watching the kill cam, you would zoom in, and I could see him before you zoom in, and then when you zoom in, I was like, oh, I don't know where
He's
he went.
gone,
We're just
yeah.
gone. The scope is way too big at this point.
Yeah,
I
it was a
cannot tell where he
mid-range
is.
gunfight, like close
Yeah.
to mid-range
Yeah.
gunfight, and
With
I
an
had an
8x
8x
scope.
scope,
Yeah,
and I was
that's
just
too
like,
much.
this isn't.
What gun was it?
It
M16
might have been
or
an
something, I
M16
don't
or an AK. It was just like an AR. Yeah. And
That's crazy.
so in the middle of the gunfight, I got behind the rock and switched back to the 4x scope, and then it was
Yeah.
like easy to pick him off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good,
Nice.
and I have it on video, so you might watch it right now.
go, dude.
No. I think I might have hit him, but he's coming towards you. Careful. Ooh, nice. Nice! Oh, let's go, dude. Oh, let's go, man. Let's get it. That was nice.
That's awesome.
Chicken dinners never get old.
Wait, do we have that on video?
I think you streamed that one.
I might not.
Or
I
I
may have
might
just
not.
made a fool of myself, but
You fucked me.
We can look it
I
up.
think I at least have the 30-second clip. I hope. All right,
Oh, maybe that's what. Yeah.
that's probably what I have.
It's something.
Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Rocket League. The winter event is happening right now. I'll be grinding that out a little bit. Me and Jordan played a fair amount, and we were doing really well the first day. Second day, we got shook by elites.
Yeah, there was a match where I think it was either 1-1 or 0-0, goes to overtime, and it was just like a 4-minute overtime match, which was just like, these people were constantly harassing us by knocking the ball away. They're like, okay, they're going to take a shot on goal, and then they would just pass it or like hit it against the wall and keep possession. I was like, this is just insane. We can't get the ball, and after that match, I was rattled, was shook, and I couldn't get back on my feet for the
Yeah,
next few
it was
matches.
annoying because they made a ton of plays that were not to score a goal, but just to keep the ball away from us. They were literally playing keep away and like not even trying to score, which was really annoying to me because they were really good at keeping the
Yeah.
ball away from us. So, yeah, that annoyed me. But yeah, I'm back to Diamond 2, so that's giving me a little more encouragement to keep going.
Yes.
Other than that, I didn't really play a ton of games.
Yeah, I mean, typical stuff. We played a little Overwatch, the new winter event. Do we want to talk about the skins? Do you guys like the skins this time around?
I think they're better. Like, they get progressively better.
Yeah.
Some of them are less cool. I think like Soldier's new skin is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hanzo's, he looks just like a casual dude, which is kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, Roadhogs is interesting.
Roadhogs is something. I'm not a fan of Roadhogs, really, of any of his skins, but
Really?
a lot of people like him. So
I like
I'll
Roadhog's
give him
skin. Anna's furry skin.
that. It's something.
Sombra's skin is really cool.
Summers is very good.
I don't really play her.
I don't either, but if I got that skin, I would.
Yeah.
I can't recall any other decent one. I got Bastions. Bastions is fine.
That one's fine. I like that one.
I
His
wish.
little beanie.
Yeah, I wish he didn't have the hat because then I could actually like, if he didn't have the hat, it would look normal in other games like without winter. But that hat is just like he's wearing a winter hat. Like he looks.
He's wearing a
kinda
snow
silly.
beanie.
Yeah, I was like because like they changed like his face and stuff, which is what I like. But whatever.
Yeah, like his actual like, his frame looks a little bit different,
Yeah.
and his head especially, which is cool. They've done that like a little bit with like the one where he looks like a little rusted steambot thing.
Yeah,
like,
I honestly
looks a little bit different.
all his skins are really not great.
no, they're not
The,
that
the
great.
new one is better. It's more different, but it's still. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they shun him and forget about him.
Yeah.
Little boy Basher.
Poor Bastion. Yeah. I don't know. Are there any other games or things you guys want to talk about?
I don't think so actually. It's kind of a light week for games for me, and we're running low on time. Kind
I
of.
think we could cut it there.
Yep.
All right.
All right, guys. we mentioned this before. We're gonna mention it again. Every week we pull a goddamn movie out of this bag. It's a wacky film. It's bound to be wacky every time. It could be anything, and it will be anything because we have no idea what we're about to pull. Every week we pull a random movie. We give you a week to watch it. That's a long time.
Sometimes
A week.
more.
A week is a long time. This time you had 2 weeks. If you had 2 weeks to watch one movie, there's no excuses. There's no excuses.
Just watch 20 minutes a day.
That's right. You can break it up.
In no time.
Break it up into segments if you
That's
want
how I
to.
watch all my movies. I watch 20 bits at 20
Dane,
minutes
does
at
this
a day.
bring back any bad memories?
Stop that. Stop!
That was
This is
a
when a
visual
big,
joke.
This
Sorry,
is when a
audio
big
listener.
just triggered message just
yeah.
pops up all over my head. Ah!
Do we know whose turn
I
it
don't know.
is?
Okay, so who picked What We Do in the Shadows? It might
I
have
picked
been me.
Halloween Town 2.
I think I think I picked Memento.
Yeah, I think you
Or did I pick What We Do in the Shadows?
I think I picked What We Do in the Shadows. So
Wait,
is
either
it
way,
Dane?
shouldn't it be Dane? Yeah.
Oh wait, no, but who picked In Bruges? Dane.
Oh,
So now
right.
it's me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That was faster than usual.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Oh my god.
We gotta get In Bruges up.
That's
there.
when you have
In
that
Bruges.
gif of the lady with all the math symbols floating around her head. And she's like,
That's actually a pretty good example of that meme. Guys, what are you thinking about?
Bannon-champ, 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 Bannon-champ,
I'm thinking of the theme
Bannon-champ,
song.
Bannon-champ, Bannon-champ, Bannon-champ.
Bannon.
What movie do I really want to watch on there?
I'm gonna guess which movie you're gonna pull.
All right,
I'm gonna
go.
guess you're gonna pull 2001: A
Serbian
Space
film.
Odyssey.
All right.
Shin Godzilla.
Okay. I'm gonna guess a Serbian film, just to be contrary. All right, here we go.
Just pick it, Coulter.
My wild card is still in there.
Pick
also.
a movie.
That's true.
Oh, is it? Really? Oh, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I have a film.
It's Shin Godzilla.
Poltergeist.
Fuck.
Oh, interesting.
What? It's not.
Poltergeist is fine.
It's a fine,
That's
finely regarded movie.
okay.
People
that's-
think this movie's really good.
we'll be the
My
judge
mom
of that.
suggested this film.
My mom did too.
A lot of people like this movie for some reason.
We're about to find
I
out.
guess we'll find out. Yeah.
Do we know any? Does anyone know anything about Poltergeist?
Yeah,
All
there's
I know
a
is the
TV.
iconic image of the TV and like a kid like going up to the TV, and I think there might be a portal in the TV.
Yeah.
To another dimension.
The only information I have about this movie is of course that image, but then also apparently I think this is the one where
The cursed set.
was that what it was?
Yeah.
Really?
People got injured while filming this movie.
Oh yeah, there was that, but then there was also there was a bunch of weird like production issues with it, and I think it was either this or Phantasm. I might be thinking of Phantasm, but I think Steven Spielberg was like the executive producer or like some sort of producer on this movie, and the director. There's rumors that the director dropped out because of all the weird curse shit that was happening, all like the production issues. And there's rumors that this was actually directed by Steven Spielberg, but uncredited to him. And there's like this whole thing where like people are like, no, there's no way that Steven Spielberg didn't direct that scene because of blah blah blah. Because this was like peak Spielberg around this time.
That's funny.
So
that people think they know his style.
I guess
so
it's,
well
it's
that they
that's
can-
that, and then also
Only
like,
Spielberg could do this.
Yeah.
yeah,
Only
it's
Spielberg.
it's that
Spielberg
but
could
then,
hold the camera in this way.
right. It's that, but then also I guess like I don't know, like for some reason there's like this whole theory about how he like stepped in to save the movie or something like that, but didn't take credit for it because he wanted the director to like, who knows? I don't know. That's all I know. It's
Wow.
apparently like a crazy story among like film buffs.
While watching this movie, make sure to bring your crosses, your holy waters, your salt,
Garlics.
your garlics,
Your steaks.
your just raw steak.
Urethra.
Make
keep your
sure you bring
urethra in check.
your giant 8-inch long Q-tip,
Just in case.
just in case you need to get a swabberino.
Because if the poltergeist sucks up the 8-inch Q-tip, it's done. It's gonna be
That's
the
it.
worst moment of its life.
That's right. That's how they kill it. Actually,
Gonna go.
Whoa, hey, slow down there, Chief.
Whoa, Chief Bud. All right, boys. We pulled the movie.
And then if you want to watch this movie, you can.
Somehow.
Yeah, I mean, please watch it legally. And if you don't, I won't care. But please watch it legally. Because I'm legally required to say that by iTunes.
Sure.
I'm not.
By iTunes. If they find out that we preached a illegal thing,
they'll take us down.
You shouldn't condone piracy on the internet. I'm sure someone will get
I'm
it.
sure that's illegal in some way.
I don't know if it's illegal, but
It's frowned upon.
sure.
Anyway, guys, you have a week. Let's say a week, because we're going to record next week on time, aren't we?
I don't know why you're looking at me.
At
us. Champ.
I was sick, all right?
Uh-huh.
My throat hurt real bad.
Yeah. You know what I'm sick of? Your attitude.
I'll fuck you up.
No, I'm sick of urethra.
Yeah, you're telling me,
Second time
bud.
I've done that dumbass joke. Go ahead, bud.
No, I was going to say, you have a week to watch Poltergeist, and we're going to talk about it when we come back. When we return. Until then.
Next time on Not So
Not
Subtle.
So Subtle. Three boys, 3 mics, 1 dream.
Nice.
Guys, if you want to talk to us, engage in intelligent conversation, or just not, and tell us that we're not the best podcast on the internet and burst our bubble a little bit, you can on Twitters at It's Not So Subtle. You can send us an email at itsnotsosubtle@gmail.com. You can go to our Facebooks at It's Not So Subtle. You can go to
Instagram.
It's Not So Subtle. You can go to our Twitch while we're streaming one of our various games and tell us live whatever you want at It's Not So Subtle. If you want to find me and do all those things, or none of them, and you just have a friendly conversation with Dane LaPointe, you can find me at Lane DePointe on Twitter and on Instagram and, of course, on Pornhub. That's all I got. Coulter,
Did you say it's not so subtle at gmail.com?
Yes.
Cool.
I covered all of it. Coulter, where can they find yous on the interwebs?
Guys, you can find me at Coulter Potter on Twitter and Instagram.
Centralization of society.
It's real. Should I just do it myself, or can someone throw me a bone here?
I mean, Jordan, where could people find you if they want?
You can
If they
find
want to.
me, Jordan Miller, at the Killamilla on Twitter.
How do you spell that?
I'm not gonna spell it. Twitter, Instagram,
Longest running bit.
other various video game sites and whatnot. It's also my Twitch, the Killamilla. So follow me, please.
Tenzo-Taiko.
I actually wasn't gonna plug that one. I haven't been using Tumblr very much lately. I've been very busy, and it's hard to find time to do that.
Fuck
when I'm
you.
playing Xenoblade 2.
Fuck you, man. I expect content from you.
I haven't posted in a while.
I haven't gotten any.
Honestly, my GIF making hasn't happened in a while. I should go find some nice GIFs to pop out.
Fuck you.
Should pop out a couple
Yeah,
GIF.
some anime GIF.
Give me some anime titties, Jordan. All right.
TIDDIES.
I
Yeah.
could do that. I would be opposed to doing it. I don't use this power for evil.
Do it. Give me some big ol'. Give me
Is
some
it
tig
evil?
ol' bitties.
That situation.
Or is it sinful?
Tig ol' bitties.
Yeah, it's sinful. I mean, what's the difference?
Just leave.
Let's get into this.
leave 3 inches for Jesus.
What does
In
that,
the Q-tip?
what does that mean?
You're trying to trigger me.
I don't know
It won't
what you
happen.
meant by 3
What does
inches.
leave 3 inches for
I don't
Jesus
know.
mean?
It leave like, what is it? Leave. It's the thing that they say
Oh.
at school dances or whatever.
Oh, yeah, like between you and your dancing partner.
Yeah, or like, I don't know.
Huh.
3 inches. That's not very much.
Leave 3 inches.
If you're going to get within 3 inches,
Leave a foot for-
you're going to fuck.
leave a foot for Jesus. I don't know.
Leave a foot for Jesus.
Leave 6 inches for Jesus.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure. Can we go home now?
Take us out.
All right, guys. Well,
Do what I say.
Would you kindly take us out? Yes.
Nice. A man chooses.
A slave obeys. And I'm gonna obey, 'cause I'm a slave. Guys, I'm so glad that we're able to convene every week and do this wonderful podcast and spend time with
You
each
sound
other.
like you're doing a fireside chat.
Guys, not only am I glad to have you with me, but I'm glad to talk to all of our friends across the interwebs. Who knows? People could be listening to this in Iceland, France,
Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe.
Somehow I doubt
They
that.
could be
but
listening
it's certainly
to
possible.
Timbuktu
In Bruges.
in Bruges. You never know. They could be anywhere. So, guys, thanks for joining us. And remember, not so subtle. 3 boys, 3 mics, 1 dream. That's the tagline. I'm going to use that all the time now.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Until next week.